Hey everybody, welcome to the 13th episode of the Irrelevant Podcast. We're now on the unlucky number. I'm trying harder and harder to do really shitty intros. I should really stop. Sorry.
Man, quite the host.
Yeah, man, I suck ass. I suck ass dick, dude. So anyways. uh, okay, so how you doing, Jason?
I am doing wonderful, man. How are fucking you?
Dude, I am fucking myself great.
Cool.
I am doing 11 out of 10. Sometimes I'm pushing 12 out of 10, but sometimes it drops down to a 9, but a 9 is still fucking fantastic. And when you're averaging like a 9, that's pretty great. Yeah, so today...
You really had to put an arbitrary number system for bullshit.
Yeah, I like doing arbitrary numbers and bullshit for things that don't matter. It's great. I love like assigning a number to a movie or like a show or a game or an album, anything. I'm just like, let's just rate it out of 10. Fuck it.
That's how we live our lives numerically.
Yeah, dude, how's your life doing? I give it like a 5.
It's pretty busy. I waited, so I always wait to the last minute to do things, so I need to be out of the place I'm living in June, so I'm trying to frantically search for a place. It's been really fucking difficult because apartments are too expensive here for myself, and, trying to find a room to rent is just another nightmare in itself, just dealing with the general public.
Dude, or you could just go to Woodbridge and risk getting shot every day.
I can do that anywhere in this fucking part of the country.
Yeah, true. DMV, baby. That's how it is up here. Oh yeah. But like, how would you rate your life right now out of 10?
Honestly, my life's 10 out of 10. My only complaints is the stuff that I did to myself. I waited to the last minute to do this, so I'm kind of stressing about it. But besides that, 10 out of 10. So I always view life as something you can control and things you can't control. And the things I can't control are doing okay, I guess.
Yeah, things you can't control are the Illuminati and like all the government shit we've talked about. Dude, where the fuck did that even come? Like, where does the Illuminati come from? I still don't even know.
It comes from the Freemasons.
Oh, like the Scots and all that shit?
Well, yeah, it's like the Knights Templar, the Freemasons. Those are what people have basically rumored to be the Illuminati.
Oh, the Freemasons are connected to the Templars?
I don't know if the Freemasons are connected to the Templars or if Templars were Freemasons. I don't really quite remember. My history is kind of fuzzy on it, but I know that both of them have been blamed of being in the Illuminati or controlling the world secretly.
Right. I know the Freemasons were they were the Church of Scotland. I know.
I don't know.
I think a lot of
that doesn't sound
right. A lot of the
right,
founding fathers. A lot of the founding fathers, actually, I'm pretty sure, were Freemasons.
Yeah, a lot of the founding fathers were. A lot of presidents have been. I actually thought about joining it for a split second just to see what they're all about, and then they're like, "Oh, you have to pay membership dues." I was like, "Fuck that!" So I decided not to do it. But I was interested because anytime somebody explains it, it's like they try to be super vague and secretive, but like it really just sounds like boring fucking just fraternity. So I don't know.
It still is kind of interesting though, and like I remember, have you ever seen National Treasure?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably not even accurate, but like the way that they like intertwined the treasure with like the Freemasons, I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting too, and that's kind of what put them on my radar. Them and also the Da Vinci Code, which actually now that I think about it, I don't think that was specifically them. It was just Opus Dei, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I've never seen that actually.
It's not bad. You might enjoy it.
Isn't that like the whole like? There's a like a divine bloodline of Jesus or something like that.
Oh fuck, man! Really stretched my memory here. I thought I knew this movie on lock. It's like it's like a secret Catholic society, and dude, fucking, I'm not even gonna speak on it because I completely fucking forgot what this whole movie's about. I've seen it many times, and like I'm just thinking of National Treasure now. Holy fuck,
bro! We need to see that fucking movie with like, saw that movie with like Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal. That movie looks fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, I do want to see that.
I don't even remember what it was even called. It has like a long ass name.
Fuck.
What the hell is it? It's like the weight of being famous or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. It looks
No,
really
that
fucking
that
dumb, but I kind of want to see it.
no, and Nick Cage is like the biggest like meme actor ever.
Yeah.
I don't even like because I'm trying to think of meme actors
I just think it's funny,
besides
and
him.
there's a lot of them, but I just think it's funny in that when I saw the trailer for that movie, it was just pretty much him playing himself.
Yeah, and I didn't even think it was real. I thought that it was like a commercial.
It did have commercial vibes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but and I hope when I see it, it'll feed like to the movie's favor. Because nothing is worse than like this super hyper self-aware movie that like it just gets constantly reminding you that you're watching a movie, and it doesn't like um like it's a movie that it instead of doing stuff, it tells you what it's doing, and it's like I don't want to be told what to do. I want to be showed. Like I want you to show me what you're doing because you don't need to like explain to me what you're doing. You can show it to me. That's why I don't really like the like new Teen Titans movie or whatever the fuck that came out a few years ago. And like I mean, this constant and also like all those like Lego movies. That's kind of why they like just don't appeal to me is because they constantly have jokes about like the structure of movies, the plots of movies, and like devices in movies. It's like yeah, I get it, it's funny, but like it gets to the point where it's like the joke is just like, hey, look, we're at the scene where this happens, and it's like great.
Yeah, it's like that very direct form of storytelling. It's just really lazy, and I know we've touched on it a couple times, but yeah, it's just not enjoyable to like. Yeah, like you said, we're just sitting there watching a movie and waiting for it to be over, as opposed to just getting involved in the story, which is what it's supposed to do. Or at
Yeah,
least good movies
and
do
like an
that.
right, and an outlier to that, who can do those kind of self-aware spoofs is like Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the South Park guys. They are fucking geniuses because like Team America World Police, that movie is like making fun of cliches and movie tropes and like plot devices like the whole movie, but at the same time, it still has like a core and it can still like yeah, like I still am invested in the story and I want to watch it
So
as
I
opposed to like oh yeah, there you go.
that movie, I love that movie to death. But like I don't know,
Oh,
the
it's
story,
great.
like the story is like the story is cheesy on purpose. Like it's over dramatic. They always play the really fucking harp and piano music when there's supposed to be a dramatic love scene, or you're supposed to have a passionate speech. Like they
Dude,
did that for a
the
reason.
fucking the scene where like the puppets have sex is the funniest fucking thing.
I just think any scene
Oh my god.
with Kim Jong Il is the funniest fucking shit ever.
Also that big speech at the end about like dicks, assholes, and pussies, that was just genius.
Yeah, so that's
That
kind
was
of
pure
so
genius.
like I watched that movie for entertainment value. Like I don't know, like the story is. I mean it is pretty creative. Don't get me lie, or I'm not gonna lie, but
No, and I love how it pokes fun. It's like so much shit, like they always do, and they're always great at that.
yeah.
Like how they meme like all of the actors, and then it's just like the the FAG, the Film Actors Guild.
Alec Baldwin.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah, do
It
that.
was like
The movie's
Team
fucking.
America does nothing to unify the world; they only destroy it, or whatever the fuck the line
It's
was.
really funny.
And
That movie it just goes to show you have to be a very specific type of person to watch that movie because
you do,
every
yeah.
single person I've showed that movie to fucking hated it.
Are you
Yeah, it
serious?
was
Not even
so
like just
uncomfortable.
not even like Matt or Travis like it.
Well, I'm sure they've. I haven't shown. I'm sure they've seen it. Like I'm saying, like my friends and
Oh, okay.
people that I've known in the past or
Yeah,
dated, they just didn't think it was funny at all, or they didn't get it, or they just thought it was just over the
yeah.
top or really racist and stupid. So, but I fucking love that movie.
Durka Muhammad.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to take things in context. Like it is, but it's not. Is the intention to
I
harm
just
people,
like
or is it just to like just be satirical?
no, yeah, because like South Park is like open about how like they're just like we're just trying to like just poke fun at people and just because that's what we should do as like a society.
Well, Trey and Matt's
you
whole
know?
angle is it's either all okay or none of it's okay. So, you can't just cherry pick. And I think they're right. I think if you're gonna get mad at something and praise other things of the same vein, like you are a hypocrite. And
Oh no, like yeah, that's why I'm never going to get mad at South Park, especially when they make fun of Christianity. Because number one, when they do it, it's actually funny and like they're making a point about it. But at the same time, I don't mind when they make fun of Christianity because like they don't treat Islam or any other religion any nicer,
They don't
you
treat
know.
anybody any
So
nicer. Everybody gets it
no,
hard from
exactly.
them.
That's why, yeah, exactly. That's why I have mad fucking respect for them because like you can make fun of Christianity all you want, but then don't come around and be like, oh, well, Buddhism's cool, or oh, well, like Islam's. It's like no, either it's like they're all lame, or it's like you can. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's always a position of growth because I remember watching documentary of them or just like a rundown of behind the scenes, and they're always talking about the episodes they wish they did differently or like they've changed their mind on some of the takes that they've had. So it's like nothing is going to be concrete too.
Yeah, because don't aren't they made weekly? Like they just kind
Yeah,
of
they're made in like
come up with the.
they're 6 days. It's crazy how
That's
current they can
so
get.
crazy,
Yeah,
and they feel like so well written. And honestly, like I still, because like there's very few things now, like in shows and movies that'll make you like genuinely laugh, if you know what I'm saying. Like maybe certain things, like it'll give me a chuckle,
yeah,
but like South Park, still laugh out loud.
yeah. I do
It
too.
really is that funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thoroughly enjoyed them, and but like I said, you have to just have a better understanding because they've been canceled a couple times. They've always been involved in controversy, but they're still going strong.
I know they got canceled with like the Muhammad episode, but what else have they got canceled with? Because most of the time they don't actually get canceled.
It's a lot of times it's like the celebrities that they make fun of. They go to Comedy Central or the network that owns them. I don't remember, and they basically, it's if they're gonna do a new movie, they threaten to pull out of the movie or pull the funding or do some bullshit like that if they cancel that episode. So I think Tom Cruise was like that because when they made fun of Tom Cruise, he took it so fucking personally that basically if they didn't get taken off the air or at least have the episode taken off, then he was going to do something or go on strike or some bullshit like that. So they've just had a bunch of points of contentions with other celebrities.
Who else?
Um, I think Tyler Perry was Boondocks. He got
Oh, yeah,
have you ever seen Boondocks?
like the Boondock Saints.
No, like the show Boondocks. It's like a black anime. It's really
No,
fucking funny.
I heard about it. No, I've never seen it.
You should watch it. It's basically yeah, it's an anime in the style. Well, it's basically like an Americanized anime, but it follows like these two kids that move from the ghetto to like this nice suburban house with their grandpa, and the whole premise of the show is like showing all the racial differences and the stuff that's like all the same kind of premise as South Park, but mainly focuses on like African American shit. So like it plays off of every stereotype you can think of, white or black. It's so fucking funny. And they go really hardcore. Like their premise is like the BET was created to destroy black people, so it shows them like a evil evil layer of all these guys conspiring and trying to just find different ways to like just make black people really stupid by watching all this like dumb shit on TV. It's just the stuff that they come up with is wild on that show.
What is the BEE? I'm sorry.
BET, Black Entertainment Television. It's like
Oh,
it was like
is
a
that a real
really
thing?
I don't know if it's still around, but it's like MTV but exclusively for black people. Like shows like really stupid
Ah,
ignorant shows and really bad music and shit. Like the whole point was that like it was just really lazy and really bad, and then it was basically harmful to black people and just perpetuated more stereotypes. So
right, right.
the creator of the
Oh
Boondocks
yeah,
really
like
played off of that.
there was like the whole black exploitation era in Hollywood and whatnot.
Yeah,
There's this movie that makes fun of that, which I really want to see. It's called Black Dynamite. Have you ever heard of it?
I feel like I've seen that. No, I'm
Yeah, I
thinking of
really
Black
wanted to
Klansman.
watch
I
it.
haven't seen Black Dynamite. I don't think.
I have not seen Black Klansman either.
That's a good one. I like that one too.
Okay. Well, I think we've gone a good bit without talking about the main thing for this video.
We have. I
I
forgot.
recommend. Yeah, no. So I recommended to Jason, um, the album from 2002, I believe, from Marc Anthony. Libre is the name of it, and this guy is the man, the myth, the legend, Marc Anthony. And I mean that because this guy, I believe, is the highest selling salsa artist of all time.
Oh wow.
he's sold like millions. I don't even know how many records. He has tons of music. He's done collaborations with a bunch of other um like artists of the like. He was married to Jennifer Lopez, I know, for a while.
Oh, so he has some
He's a
traction
Puerto
here.
Rican from wait, what'd you say?
He has a lot of traction here.
He's a Puerto Rican New Yorker. Um, and yeah, he's just really fucking established himself. um,
I
yeah. So, what did you think of Libre?
Um, so this one, I think, out of all the ones you recommended me, I think it's probably my least favorite.
I was anticipating that.
Only because it was very, and I'll kind of get into it track by track, but um, I I think because I feel like most of the songs were pretty much the same, and I know that's very generic to say, but it like
I mean, you're not wrong.
well, I mean, it's not a bad
I
thing. I just like it's like that same kind of tempo and style. Like after a couple tracks, it just started to wear on me. But it got to the point where like the intros of the songs were interesting, and then it would just go devolve back into that same type of salsa beat like you'd hear in a restaurant, and then it's just like kind of hard to follow after that. But going track by track, so the first track, Celos, um,
Celos, yeah.
and this first track is kind of I think my biggest problem with the album is, and this is not to Marc Anthony's detriment, it's to the people that engineered it, is the background instruments are really fucking loud. So it's like it has this album, not just in this track, this album has a really weird mix where the instruments themselves individually sound awesome, like they're really hi-fi and you can hear them clearly, but the whole song sounds very unmixed. Like they didn't adjust the volumes for things, they didn't EQ things. Like it felt like everything was right in your face and it was hard to focus on, aspects of the song that way, especially like when it was like kind of like the same beats again and again. So, but that's not really his fault. Like I don't really fault artists for bad production choices unless that's what they're known for. But for guys like this, they're not, really writing or manufacturing their own albums, so they kind of have to rely on a record company or a big producer to do that. So I think the producer really fucked up on this album, but that's not, like I said, that's not his fault.
At the same time, I do kind of, and like this isn't necessarily the right way of looking at it. I do kind of excuse it for coming out in like the early 2000s when all this technology was going through all these transitions and like it wasn't, up to par, I guess. So that's why I would love to see a remaster of this album.
Yeah.
I think that'll be very beneficial.
I don't think it was the mix of technology because, like I said, everything like individually sounds awesome. Like the quality is really top notch on the sounds on this thing. It's just the mixing engineer was not good.
The mixing, yeah.
That's like I said.
Yeah.
That's not a Switch technology thing. That I give that fault to the '80s. Like that's when like people were really using the shitty digital and synth sounds, and they just were really overusing that. So that's where I still don't excuse it because I fucking hate it. But for this one, I mean, it's 2002. Like you can put out a great record in 2002.
Oh, it's 2001 actually.
Or 2001, whatever the case may be. But that's really my biggest problem with this. Not just with the songs in general have to offer. The next track, Este Loco Que Te Mira.
Oh yeah.
So I like the vocals on this one. The only thing, like I said again, like the effects have like that very 80s kind of cheesy sound to them, so that kind of takes the vocals back a little bit for me, but I do like them on this one. And he has a very, very good voice, and that's the one thing I say with a lot of these guys. They have a very phenomenal singing voices.
Right. But I think because like I do like this album, and so I picked this one because I wanted to do one of his like earlier ones.
Yeah.
So he has some albums that are in English, which I think are really awful because they're more pop as opposed to like salsa and tropical is like the name of the genre. But so I picked this one. I had not listened to the whole thing, so I kind of wanted it to like I want to put it, like I kind of wanted so that we would both kind of experience this at the same time because I only knew like a couple of the songs on this, like, and I didn't even know them that well, so this was kind of like a new experience with me. But at the same time, I do in some ways regret this pick because this isn't necessarily like the best introduction to Latin music because I assume you're footing in is not that much. Am I right in assuming that?
You assuming I'm what?
Like you're not that like you're not that into this kind of music is what I'm saying.
I like this music in context. Like, no, I won't sit down and listen to it. But like, if I'm
Yeah,
out or
that's what I'm
dancing,
saying.
like I do like listening to it. But like, it's not something that I would pick and sit down to listen to. But that's fine. I feel like I said, every type of music has their place. Like, there's music that I love to listen to that I wouldn't in certain situations. But my thing with Latin music, like I feel like it has to really branch out, and like if I can connect a specific melody or if it's super catchy, that's the ones that I enjoy the most. But for the ones that have the same kind of drums, the shaking beat, the little guitar in the background, like I feel like it has to be
Hey, it fucking works. Like
no, it
that
works for real. Like it's a good
it's
atmosphere.
called that beat is called montuno.
Montuno.
It's like it yeah,
Yeah.
it combines okay, that's another thing people don't realize is that salsa music has sick ass bass lines. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I did. I do like the bass.
The fucking bass is springs it like out, and then you got the shaker thingies, and then you got the clave, the best instrument ever,
the
which is
clave.
just the two sticks that you just
Oh yeah,
hit the beat,
that's really
and
fucking
then you
loud in the song.
yeah yeah you notice it, or you
Yes.
typically you can use a cowbell. I know,
Yeah.
but then also they have the piano obviously, and the piano is where you get that cliche montuno, which is like the dun 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 dun, yeah, and it's just so good. It's such a winning combination, and I'm sure you've heard the "if it ain't broke, don't fix it."
Yeah.
So that's why like it's kind of I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's hard to branch out in this genre, but like when you have that, like you just have a winning song. It's just you know but I do agree with you that a lot of this did kind of sound similar, but I think the best track was the fourth one, Hasta que vuelvas conmigo. That one
Yes.
had a really good intro.
That is my
Yeah.
favorite of all of them. I actually really like this one.
Yeah,
Um,
and it had a good like variation, obviously.
yeah, so
Um
I love that little soft finger picked melody that they did on the classical, and then the vocals were the only way I can really describe them is they were very smooth and stylish. So yeah, this one definitely is my favorite track, and this is the one that I would listen to again. Um,
yeah, and like at the sorry.
go ahead, sorry.
At like the 3 minute mark or like the 2 minute 55 seconds, when like that Montuno just comes back in, I'm just like,
Yeah.
fuck yes, like this is awesome.
That one, yeah, that track really stood out among the rest. So that one, I mean, not just like, oh, it's the best on the album. Like, I actually really enjoyed listening to this one. That's one I would put on my playlist if I made like a Latin playlist. The other one that I really liked is Viviendo. The pacing was very, very
That
good
was
on
good.
that one. And I think in terms of like singing, this is where his vocals are the best. And then the instruments are about the same as anyone else or any others on the album, but I think the vocals were the nicest one. I just liked Hasta que vuelvas conmigo a lot better. But those two
Yeah.
were my favorites.
Did you like the last one? I thought that one had a great intro, like the fourth track.
Yeah, I did. I
Like
love the guitar melody was really playful. I like that
it
song,
was, yes.
but for the vocals seem like they should be on a different song. It's like he just sung over the track. Like he didn't like try to make it fit in the song.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Um,
I don't know. It's because
I
like he
think
kind of sings similarly on all the stuff, so he didn't really change the style for the different. Like it was the song was like rhythmically the most different of the other songs, but then he kind of sang in the same sort of way, so that's why it was kind of
yeah,
strange.
that like kind of just it's kind of reinforcing your point, and this is kind of how I'm gonna add to it. It's like that's why I didn't think that this was like your best introduction to like a proper salsa album, is because this one does not have as much style as certain other ones that I know have.
Are you,
Even from Marc Anthony, like he has some better albums. I don't understand why I didn't just recommend those, but I just kind of wanted it for so we have the mutual kind of
was this? Why did you
like
pick this one? Was this his most popular, or most like radio play? Like why'd you pick it?
no, I was just kind of dicking around with his music, and his first couple albums like were kind of bad, and then this one came up and I was like, oh, this one's kind of cool.
I
Let's
see.
just yeah, and like I hadn't even listened to the whole album yet, and I was like, all right, me and Jason could listen to this one.
Um,
Because like, dude, his English language music is like, it's not terrible, but it's just so 4 out of 10, if you know what I'm saying.
yeah, you could. I without listening to it, I guess he just wanted to. He figured, oh, this is gonna be big in America, so I don't really have to try on this one. I just say some sexual lyrics and do some fucking little melody, and I'm good to go. I don't have to really
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah, but another thing, like I was talking about how it does lack style to a certain extent, is because there's a serious lack of minor key, and I think this kind of music works really fucking well when you're in those minor keys, like when you get that montuno and all the instruments coming together
It
in these minor keys. It just oh, I can't help but just like start tapping my feet or just get up and dance and just do all. Oh, it's so good.
it did have a lot of minor key moments though. I just think
Yeah, but they
it
were
didn't
more
fit.
ballady. Yeah, exactly. Like, because a lot of these songs are they're just ballads. Like they have like that kind of '80s, and
Yeah.
like there's a lot of horns, but not horns in the same way that you think of it in like a salsa kind of song.
Yeah, it's more of used as
Um,
like a synth almost. It's like a pad that they just kind of swelled back and
yeah,
down. But I know I kind of
exactly.
fault the majority of that for the like I said for like the mixing and the effects because I think it's like it's an art form in itself. Like you have to have a producer that's really creative in that way to really add to the song as opposed to just throwing an effect on because you need to add something. But um, the one thing that I the one thing that was also that the other track that I liked was Duque de Bende. I always and actually the one thing I want to touch on is I love how they incorporate almost like different types of instruments. Like they have the accordion, the piano, the guitar, the flute. Like like each
Did
song
like
add
that.
different types of
Yeah,
instruments. That was cool because I liked the piano melody on this one. I'm sorry, the accordion, and then they had I don't know like I didn't notice it on the rest of the album, but they had like this really like it almost sounds like like those like bamboo sticks that hit the ground like the water fountain things. Like I don't know if it was wooden drums or if it was a really smooth metal sounding drum, but
no,
those
I
are
don't
very
recall
good.
that.
Or like a wooden marimba or some shit like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, so I
Um,
like that a lot. And I think also his vocal performance on this song, I think was the most dynamic. This is where he played with the tone of it and the inflection a little bit more than he did on the other one. So, um, I think this is a
I
really
still think
strong
his
vocal take
best.
on this one.
I think his best vocal performance was on "Hasta que vuelvas conmigo."
I thought that was his best
I love.
delivery and melody. I just thought like because like he kind of had the same tone throughout the whole album, but on that song he switched it up,
Yes.
and I like when like I said I like when singers play with their voice and they do different types of inflections, which is cool. The other one that was interesting was Barco a la deriva.
Con la deriva.
I like the flute melody on that one a lot. I like the flute. I like when people add it in there, even if it doesn't fit. I just like hearing it. For
Yeah,
some
the flute is
reason,
a very pretty instrument.
it is, and I want to learn how to play it. The wooden flute always sounds really cool. The metal ones are always a little bit too harsh, even though they are very smooth too. And let me rephrase that. In the flute world, I feel like the metal ones are too like bright sounding. I love the warm, smooth sound of a wooden flute more than I do a metal one. But the,
Yeah, in this genre of music, the flute is actually used quite a bit, and it sounds really nice.
yeah, I like how they incorporate that. It was crazy when I was listening to this. I don't know, for some reason I was just like picturing myself feeding a girl strawberries in a waterfall. I don't know why.
On Barco de la Deriva?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So only on the intro though, and that's the one thing. And then it switched up into the same style as all the other songs, and it just kind of lost me because it's like I thought the beginning was very interesting, and I wanted it to kind of branch out more into that territory as opposed to just a complete switch up to what they've done before or what he's done before.
Yeah, like I think after after Hasta que vuelvas conmigo, I like Barco de la Deriva. De que depende is pretty good. I think Yo te quiero is like I think that or Amor Aventurero is the worst one.
Yeah.
They're not bad, obviously, because like I don't. This is obviously like I don't think any of the songs are bad, but those like it's like you're saying, and I hold the same opinion with those two songs where it's just like he didn't do enough to warrant them as songs. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like
But I
this.
still know I really like this album, even though there's a lot of other stuff in this genre that I like more,
Yeah.
a lot more. I must say.
I so here's and I don't want to make this assumption, but this is just what I can guess. I feel like and this is also the same with our culture too, because like most popular songs that are played on the radio, most people aren't doing like critical analysis dive deeps into them. They just if they like what the sound is, then they'll listen to it. And if it sounds like all the other ones, they're not gonna care because they like that sound, right? So it's like they're not gonna really just go deep into it. So because like I can listen to this whole album in like a Mexican restaurant, right, or like in a club or wherever the fuck I am, and like it sounds nice, and like I won't be like, oh, this sounds the same. Like I can just
It's just
branch out
like
and enjoy the fucking time. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna. It's a good experience when you listen to it. But my question is, and I don't know if you've like talked to regular Spanish speaking people, if they listen to this type of music the way that we do, or if they just like to throw it on and it's just their culture and they just enjoy listening to it without really giving it much thought.
well, I mean, this kind of music mostly comes from the Caribbean, and a lot of the Hispanics that are around us are not Caribbean.
But they don't like listening to
Um,
salsa.
no, I mean, no, they do, and they think it's cool, but no, most of the Hispanics that I know here listen to bachata. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I feel like I have, yeah.
That's also in the Caribbean, but then it's also in Central America and stuff like that. They also listen to our the Irrelevant podcast favorite genre, reggaeton. I think that's the majority of what they would like to listen to,
Yeah, our
if I had to get.
honestly, because like I have a lot of
Also,
Spanish friends on social media, and all they would do is
right,
post about Bad Bunny. So it's like any type of music that they post, it's always
yeah,
them. And I guess he had an album that came out recently, so everybody's been posting about that one. I
a lot of the Hispanic friends I have, like they would think that this is cool, but they wouldn't necessarily go out of their way to listen to this. Like they would probably know who Marc Anthony is, but at the same time, they probably just stick to reggaeton.
It sounds like if you
Or
ask them like, oh, like my dad listens to that, but I like to listen to Bad Bunny. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they're like
yeah,
more
that's
modern,
probably is what it is.
contemporary Spanish music, like reggaeton or just straight up rap or just
Yeah, or
ass
just straight up
shaking
pop.
artists.
Yeah, just yeah, like random Hispanic pop music,
Yeah,
or like you said, rap and stuff like this. Because a lot of that, there's a lot of Puerto Rican rappers I know, Colombian rappers like J Balvin. I know is pretty popular. Same thing with
yeah,
Bad Bunny.
yeah.
Um,
Him and those two are the only like Latin pop stars that I've heard of
um,
recently.
there's some more. Do you know? Well, Luis Fonsi. That's the guy who made fucking
Despacito.
Despacito.
Yeah, I've heard him only
Uh,
from that song though.
yeah, I don't even know any of the other fucking shit he made. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, is there anything? Oh, also, like a lot of the Mexicans I know here, they listen to like local Mexican music, which is pretty good.
Well, that's cool that there's a big local scene. I was just curious, like,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like a genre people like listen to, and like I said, just like and that could be totally wrong, but I feel like the majority of people like they have to be out somewhere doing something to enjoy it or dance to it or just just have it at parties or just be like a cultural thing. But I don't know, people
I
actually
mean,
sit down.
I don't know how other people feel, but I fucking love this kind of music when I'm in the car.
Mm.
It is such good cruise music.
It is. It's very good cruising music. I feel like if I was really in the mood, I would play it in the car more than anything.
Yeah, but I do see what you're saying because like truly great music, I feel doesn't have to be like just tied specifically to one situation, you
No, it
know?
does not at all.
Because obviously, like truly great music is different than like the time and place kind of music. Because I fucking love Reflection. I love Tool. I think it's like that's some of the greatest music I've ever heard in my life. But like, can you dance to that? I don't know. I mean, you could, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like that type of music is specifically designed for you to sit there and zone out to, or to sit there and focus on it. So like, 'cause
yes, yes, but at the same time, like that there's certain kinds of music that like they're designed specifically like for parties and stuff like that, and they only kind of fulfill in that aspect. Whereas like Tool, I think serves in like you can zone out to it, but you can also work out to it. You can
yeah.
also study to it. There's a tons of things you could do with Tool. I think they're very versatile.
I agree
Um,
that, and that's why I was curious
yeah,
about if people felt that way about salsa music too. Because like when I
yeah.
listen,
I
like
mean,
I also like I'm really ignorant to most Hispanic culture besides just the people that live here and the little bits that I know from them talk about their
right.
parents or their experiences. But um,
You uncultured swine.
there's so how many fucking people there are on this planet, and they're all like, we live in a pretty diverse place, so it's like you learn about so many different types of
Yeah.
cultures. It's crazy.
No, I think in like Fairfax, there's like 80 different languages that are spoken. It's insane.
Yeah, especially the closer you get to DC, and especially in DC, how many languages
Oh
you
yeah.
hear.
Oh yeah, and I think like in New York you can find practically anything.
Oh yeah,
Like
there's even a community, like you can
any
go to different communities.
oh yeah, like any of the top 200 languages in the world, like you could definitely find someone who speaks that,
Yeah,
which is
and
very cool. And that's
and that,
probably the coolest thing to me about New York, because apart from that, I think New York is fucking awful.
yeah, I hated going to honestly, I couldn't stand it. I'm not a big city person anyway, and New York is the worst offender if you don't like cities because like the people are fucking douchebaggy and
Yeah,
it's just
they're douchebaggy.
uh
It's so busy. It's just like, I mean, obviously like the walking is pretty cool, but it is annoying knowing that like you can't drive anywhere and like you do have to walk everywhere at the end of the day.
yeah, and
Um,
it's a big culture shock because like I mean I've worked in the service industry for a while, so like I'm used to people getting in my face and just acting ignorant or just people getting mad about dumb shit. But like it was such a fucking like when I went into the subway and had like these like groups of people just like screaming at you and you just walk in there like what the fuck is happening? Like not even just directly like it was just a weird fucking culture shock. I just hated how like no wonder you know no wonder people are fleeing these fucking cities because I mean obviously it's expensive to live there and it sucks ass, but just the people
yeah,
fucking blow
no,
dick. And I fucking hate that they're
yes,
all
yes,
gonna move here. Like we're gonna have to fucking deal with these people here now pretty soon the next couple of years. I'm not looking forward to all
oh no,
these
yeah,
Californians and New
exactly,
Yorkers fucking moving here.
yeah, because part of me is kind of like, well, you decided to move into the city a long time ago. That's your decision. You got to stay there, because like I don't want you coming here fucking up our shit.
You know, all you're doing is
But at the
making it
same time,
expensive and creating more homeless
yes,
people
exactly.
everywhere else. Like it's a
Oh no, yeah,
fucking
it's
virus.
annoying.
They like destroy every place they live in.
Bourgeoisie,
Just escape. But
the city dwellers.
anyways, before that rant, yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
yeah
I'm sorry. The other cool thing about New York is like that's where a lot of this music kind of became popular after like all of the like Puerto Rican and Dominican kind of immigration and stuff like that, and
yeah,
especially Cuban immigration. I can't wait to show you some Cuban music eventually
that'd be kind of interesting.
because yes, because salsa has a very specific thing about it where like you obviously know that's salsa, and obviously there is different variations with salsa nationally. Like Puerto Rican salsa is like probably the most popular one, and that's the one everyone knows, and that's the one that everyone kind of thinks of when they think of salsa.
Right.
And the second to that is Colombian salsa. I actually kind of like Colombian salsa a little bit better.
Does it
But
just have more flair to it?
yes, and there's a lot more minor keys. There's a lot more like atmosphere to it, and they kind of I might have to recommend it actually.
I
Um,
assume they probably would have more lead melodies too, like on the instruments, like the guitar.
I can't remember off the top of my head,
If
but
I
there's this
had to take a
really,
guess.
there's this really fucking good group called the Latin Brothers. They're just excellent.
Latin
Um,
Brothers.
yeah, they're really fucking awesome. So maybe in the future I'll recommend some from them. But then Cuba, it has this thing about it where like Cuban music, it's kind of like salsa, it's kind of like cumbia, it's kind of like all these other different like Hispanic folk genres you hear all the time, but it just has this thing about it where like you know it's Cuban. It's very hard to describe. But I do know for like one of the reasons is because they use this really interesting guitar where it has like 12 strings, because like there's the two strings where one string should be on a normal guitar.
I know what a 12 string is. Well,
No, but like what is that called? I don't know.
what is a 12? It's literally just called a 12 string guitar. You can make a 12 string guitar out of anything, and then
No,
simultaneously you
but
can do
there's
an
like
8 string bass to the same kind of effect. You just double the strings with a thinner gauge, and then it gives it like a chorusy doubled effect.
wait, no, but there's like the Cuban one has like a specific like style to it. Let me
It
see.
might be just
Cuban.
tuned to a specific tuning. That's what it gives it that
Could be.
distinctive style. But yeah, all a 12 string is just the same note an octave higher, or it might not be an octave higher, whatever it is higher, just doubled on the string using it as a lighter gauge. But I know the high B and E is basically just a double. It's the same gauge on that one.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. But yeah, like they kind of have it in Cuban music, and it's just it's so interesting. it's very hard to describe, and their rhythms are kind of different.
Yeah, I'd actually be very curious to know. For some, I kind of like, I know I've been to Florida a couple of times, and all the Cuban people I talked to are pretty cool. Um, and I've seen like a bunch of images and videos about Cuban life and just the pictures and how everything is all retro because they haven't had new shit there for a while. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that's still true to this day since we lifted the embargo on them. So I don't know if like the free trade is
I don't
helping them
know.
at all, but I know people are loving the cigars that are coming in. Fuck.
Yeah. What is it about
Ah.
those cigars that are like different? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know anything about cigars. I assume it's just there's a
Yeah.
it's maybe it's like champagne, right? It's the specific way they make them people really enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah, I see.
But they look cool. Like I don't know if you've ever walked past cigar shops, but it looks like a cool. I mean I'm not into it, but like I wish I was because like it just looks like a cool atmosphere.
Cuba is also just fucking gorgeous. I would love to go to Havana.
Yeah, I do want to go to Cuba. Um, I've been to Puerto Rico. Wasn't really a fan, so I feel like I would enjoy
Yeah,
Cuba
you
a lot
told me
more.
that.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but yeah, but just basically what I was saying is like just they just have this inexplicable thing about their music that just it's so Cuban and you could just tell it is.
I like
You know?
Cubanos.
Wait, you like what?
Cuban sandwiches.
What
Like
was the name
Rubens,
again?
Cubano.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never had one, but
Very good. Um, I also know that Cubans are like oddly really conservative. That's why Florida is always usually a really big red state because most of the Cuban
I
votes are
mean,
red.
yeah. I mean, I understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I remember like Joe Biden put the same slogan or whatever for his campaign as Fidel Castro did. So all the Cubans knew, oh fuck, no, we can't vote for this guy.
Really? What was it?
I don't remember. It was something about progreso, like progress or something, and then like I swear, like I'm pretty sure it was the exact same thing that Fidel Castro said, and they were like, fuck that.
Well, I'm gonna look this up because that's actually really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, I don't know if I can do this on a quick little Google search, but I'm gonna have to look at that later because I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, people borrow shit all the time. I wouldn't surprise me. Just like fucking. Have you been
No, I
following?
don't. I don't think like he was actually he had that in mind. Like I think he just paid some random fucking person and then just came up with some bullshit. Like
Who fucking
I
knows,
don't think
man?
that. No, I don't
These
think there's a tie.
politicians.
But at the same time, I do understand that the Cubans are like, oh shit, that's a red flag. We don't want that.
Well, when you
But
escape one
anyway,
bad government and you hear somebody that talks about having similar ideals, it kind of makes you nervous. So I don't blame them. Um,
yeah. Wait, you were going to say something else? I'm sorry.
oh, what I was gonna say was it like with like people either inadvertently or blatantly. I might have said that wrong. People not knowing that they're doing it or they're blatantly just ripping off something else. Have you been following the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing?
Loosely, I saw the thing where she shit in his bed. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, that was probably the most viral part of that whole fucking trial. But I mean,
I thought it was a meme initially, but
no, it was fucking true. And like, dude, I've been watching
yeah.
like almost all the videos, and I'll tell you one thing: regardless if she's innocent or if he's innocent, Amber Heard's lawyers are fucking awful. Holy God,
I was hearing that.
dude,
But like,
they're
what is
bad.
this whole debacle even about originally? That's what I don't even understand.
So she basically, and I don't know if they've had like multiple lawsuits in the past, but I know currently she wrote an article in the Washington Post that basically, was making all sorts of claims about abuse and all the shit that Johnny Depp allegedly did. So he's countersuing her for defamation. Or I don't know if he's countersuing or just straight up suing. I don't quite know legal shit, but
Okay.
the reason why it's in Fairfax is because the Washington Post server is in Fairfax County somewhere, I think. So that's why they're here. But what's crazy is that like, 'cause like my brother-in-law is a lawyer, not the specific type of lawyer, but I was showing him videos of the fucking Amber Heard's lawyer like objecting to his own question for their own witness. And it's just it's awful, dude. And dude, their law office is in Roanoke. So I was on Google the other day just to see the reviews, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of like 1 stars because everybody's just shitting on this dude. So his reputation is pretty fucked from this. So I mean, from what it sounds like,
Oh,
it
it's
sounds
Johnny
like
Johnny Depp or
no, Amber Heard's lawyers.
oh yeah, isn't like I mean like is she the one in the wrong? Like
It
according to
sounds
the
like
court,
it.
that's what I don't understand. Yeah,
So
because I haven't really been following this. So.
what it sounds like, and this is just me looking into it and showing the evidence that they played in court. Basically, he has a drinking problem, has a little bit of a drug problem, and she's really fucking narcissistic. So he's not entirely innocent, but she is way fucking worse, and she embellishes a lot of shit. Even like their witnesses, like none of their stories are corroborating, and that's why her fucking case is sort of falling apart because their lawyers don't know what to do. They're trying to like chase these bullshit stories, and then they're asking really ridiculous questions to try to like fit the narrative of the story, but it's not working because none of the witnesses that they've interviewed corroborate the story, and they've gone completely opposite. And my brother-in-law was telling me, a really big rule as a lawyer, like you're not supposed to ask a question that you don't know what they're going to answer. So if you can think of an answer in your head both ways, then you should ask the question. But if you're asking a question expecting them to, bank off of one answer and they go the opposite way, your shit kind of falls apart. And there's only so many ways you can force a narrative without people catching on to it. So she's feeding her lawyers a bunch of bullshit, and then they're trying to prove it in court, and it's just falling apart. So it's really funny to watch.
Yeah, like I mean these kind of stories now, like I just kind of see them through memes and a bunch of these other kind of things when I just see like a notification like, oh yeah, that's going on.
Yeah.
But I never really kind of follow these things anymore, you know?
I usually don't either. The only reason why it's entertaining to me is because I think like, this is shit that a lot of people have to go through, and this is the biggest thing for years is that, believe all women, or like why would they have an incentive to lie? And I think it just goes to show how damaging this case is to people that actually go through this shit personally because,
Yeah.
but again, like her shit's very transparent. So like you can make a clear distinction between her and another case. You literally just have to follow the facts and see what everything is on a case by case basis. But what I was going to say, like tying that into the Joe Biden slogan thing.
Oh yeah,
When
that's what
she,
this was related to.
yeah, when she gave her
God damn.
testimony, again, like basically like she went up on the fucking witness stand and was saying all this shit that Johnny Depp did to her. She ripped off like lines from a movie verbatim, like
Wait, she
undeniably.
like she took lines from a movie to fit what she was saying?
Yes, like she was like,
What
first
the
of all,
fuck?
she was like pulling some really heavy crocodile tears. Like she was visibly upset, air quote, the whole entire time, and she was like fake crying, but no tears were coming out. And as soon as like a lawyer would have
Oh
an
my
objection or
god.
like she had to stop talking, she just went like stone cold face. And then when she was talking again, she went right back into the act. Like you could tell like she was doing a bit. Like it was really cringy. But yeah, she
Dude,
fucking
you can't
directly ripped off a
make
line from a movie. It was so funny.
Do you know what movie it was from?
I don't, but this one was just recently, so I know I can look this up. And I think it's been fact checked. I first saw it, I thought it was like people trying to start shit to just get famous off of this case. So, but I hope I'm right. I think it's been fact checked that she actually did take this from a movie. But dude, like you should watch like a compilation of like the best moments. You'll fucking laugh your ass off. And the fact that this is like even the judge is like fuck.
Oh no, I saw like it was like a YouTube short or something. It's just it was just literally Johnny Depp going, "Yes, that is a lot of marijuana," or some random bullshit,
Mm,
like just out of context and shit. And
yeah.
then there was the other one was like, "There was human fecal matter." Yeah, because it's like, how else do you say that in a courtroom? Like, oh, my girlfriend shit in my bed.
Yeah. Um,
What would you do if your girlfriend shit in your bed?
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no idea. I'm saying that because there's been situations where the people that I've dealt with, they've done shit that I just stand back and I just like I don't know how to handle this. Like I'm not good.
Is it that level? Like, has it been that level?
No, it's not been that level. I mean, it's been some bullshit, but
Gotcha.
it's not been that fucking crazy. My point is just like
Yeah.
I'm not good at handling problems like that. Like I know I can't get super mad to the point where I'm gonna have to go to
Hmm.
jail, but I also don't know because like my brain is like I want to fix I want to find a solution. I want to fix the problem. I don't want to do something to make this situation worse. And there's some things where it's just like fucking throw
Sitting
my
there.
arms up. I don't know what to do, and I'll just write it out, and then hopefully something better comes. If someone's shit in my like as a joke, I could probably take it and just be like, what the fuck. And I could deal with that, but like if someone just did it to get under my skin or just as like a personal fuck you, like I don't know. I honestly don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would be like really angry. I don't know if I'd find it funny. I don't know if I'd be upset. Like I would just be really taken aback.
Well, Will thinks that Jason would be a simp and would just be like, "It's okay."
Fuck no, dude. I've
Nah,
started
no.
arguments for far less. I
Or what
actually
kind of
let me
like
rephrase
things
that. I
though?
haven't started arguments. I've fucking like have gotten into it with people because of stuff like that. Just like just every time I think there's a double standard in something, I'll just be like, what the fuck? Why does this have to happen this way? So that's kind of
Oh,
my thing.
you'll just say some shit like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Or I'll not like,
Like,
or I won't say anything. Like, there's sometimes where like I'm just too tired. I don't want to deal with the bullshit, and I'll just like brush it off and just leave it to be an awkward moment of me not doing anything about it, and then being like building up and getting mad about it later. So it's kind of stupid,
yeah,
but it's just what my personality is like. But no, I just fuck, man. This is so dumb. I don't know what I would do. Um,
yeah. Like, would you describe yourself as like a confrontational person?
no, not by nature. I mean, if it has to,
Okay.
like, if I like I said, I'd rather be diplomatic and find solutions to things. But it's different if people like go out of their way to make me mad or like they purposely know something that gets under my skin. But no, I don't go out to start problems, and I don't like arguing. I really fucking don't. When I'm mad, I'm mad about a specific thing. I don't just want to break. I don't just want to like bring something up to hurt somebody. Like I'm mad about one thing, and usually I don't start
Okay.
shit. Like most, I can think most of the times in my life, most arguments that I've ever been to, either like with my parents or with people I've dated, it's been like them getting mad at me for something and then like getting into an argument and then me bringing that stuff up in an argument. So it's like usually it's been like from
Yeah,
something
because
unrelated.
it's easy to like escalate it and shit,
Yeah.
and it's not always it's not good, especially with my parents, because like um when they like, and it's like a lot of parents, like when they get on you about like not doing certain shit, and you want to be like, look, I could be doing drugs or doing all this bunch of shit, and it's like, all right, I didn't put up a cup.
Right.
And like, no, now I that stuff doesn't. I don't get mad about that anymore. But like, that's how I was, and that's how like a lot of people can be. you
Yeah,
know?
it's easy to do that with your parents because like, I was kind of the same way. Like I never got kicked out of school. I never really did drugs. Wasn't a drinker really at all. And if I did, it was
Yeah.
just
So
a
you're
little.
like,
It's like my problem was like
hey,
like my parents are interesting. They raised like I was saying before, they raised me with a lot of moderation, but then they also like they're very like strict about a bunch of other stuff that you wouldn't expect them to, and it was kind of difficult to navigate. And a lot of times they forced me to do stuff I didn't want to do. And so most of my arguments with my parents are me like lying to get out of it and then them catching me in the lie.
yeah.
That's been the
Oh,
majority of my life, but
dude.
it's good now because my the fact that I'm I've been living on my own, so every time I've seen my
Yeah,
parents, it's been pleasant, and I visit them a lot, and I talk
that's
to them pretty
nice.
frequently. So like I don't just like call my dad if I have a problem to solve. Like I'll talk to him or give him updates. So I have a great relationship with my
Yeah, that's very
parents.
good. Yeah,
So
that's good. So do I.
and they've
And
kind
it's a
of not
very
since
nice
I've
thing to have. Yeah.
yeah since I've moved out of my house, I haven't really had any problems with them. They haven't gotten on my case really about anything since I've moved out. So I think it was just because I think when you're around people all the time, shit just builds up and you just need to take time apart and then you grow individually and then you can come back stronger. So, but and I've never
Yeah,
had
cause
like too many problems with people in general, like especially at work. I don't really have any
right.
problems. I haven't had too many problems with the people that I've dated, um, except for one. But
How
that's
many girls have you dated?
fuck, man. I gotta really rack my
Oh
brain here.
shit, it's a lot.
No, it's not a lot. It's just I'm trying to give an
Okay.
accurate number, so it's been over a long time. So I'm just trying to think of. It's been
Yeah.
like around 5 or less than 5,
Okay.
around there. I know it's less than 10. Um, but no, but I like actually most of my either like most of the reasons why my relationships didn't work out was honestly sometimes it was really bad timing, so a lot of it was like moving to a different school or getting a better job. But there's been some relationships I've had where their biggest complaint was that I didn't care enough. So it's like I wasn't starting arguments, I was just more apathetic, and that was kind of the reason for the tension. So I'm really the opposite.
Being apathetic can be really bad. They say
Yeah.
that in one of the Metallica songs.
Yeah, it's not a good way to be all the time. I think apathy is good for if you're a person where you get, you overreact to a bunch of shit. So like there's just some things in this life you just don't need to care about. But I think you can take it too far. And that's kind of what I'm trying to undo is just, being a little bit more partial and, in the present with people and places and things. And I think I'm getting better at it. But yeah, that was more like my problem wasn't being toxic and starting fights and getting mad. My problem was just not caring enough.
Yeah, because like apathy, it's good to learn it because it's like good obviously in like the right amounts because like you said there's a lot of shit that like you just don't need to worry about.
Yeah.
And it can be good to project it outwardly in some situations,
I just
but
think
like
you
you
need
said,
to be
no,
honest about it. Like if you have a problem you're going through,
yeah,
you just gotta
exactly.
you gotta realize, you gotta, the first stage of acceptance, you gotta fucking get there and then you can work on it. You can't live in denial. Because like it's one thing where it's like if
but that's not like really what I'm referring to. No, you're 100% right. I'm just talking about like you see someone on the street doing some stupid shit that pisses you off, just ignore them.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. That shit you really
That's
need to be
like
kind of because you can lose your
yeah,
life. Like
yeah.
there's a very divine power to minding your own
exactly.
fucking business, and it can cost you your life
Exactly,
or
yeah.
your job.
Oh,
Like,
exactly.
just stay out of it.
I know. A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it just takes a lot more self-discipline. But again, I think more of that is just the people that do that just feel really entitled, or like they just have such a short fuse that the most minor of inconveniences will fucking ruin their, year. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
Oh yeah, I saw this meme where it was like the Chad and the Virgin, and the Chad it was I'm sure what the fuck. Yeah, it was journalists in the 1950s, and it said, "The mafia might kill me, but I'm gonna pursue the story anyways and remain in Little Italy." And it was like journalists now, and it was like the Virgin had like pink hair or some shit, and it was like someone made fun of my hair, so now I need to go on like a 2-week vacation.
God,
And it's like,
don't
yeah,
we all?
no, that's the shit we're talking about, like you said, with like the mind, like the smallest inconvenience.
Like
My life's over, man. The world's over.
it
Fuck.
just fucking ends up killing you more. So you really just, like I said, that stuff you need to be apathetic about it. Oh, also as a callback, and I don't want to go back into it, but I think when I was saying the Amber Heard thing, I just looked it up. I think it was fact checking. She didn't like verbatim copy it. She just kind of had a similar conclusion at most, but it ended up being fake.
Man.
So I retract that statement. But I mean, it's pretty in character for the rest of the stuff that she was definitely putting on an act, and it felt like she was reading a script. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about now, I don't know. It's just all learning, and that's what I'm saying about like when you have to go through stuff like that. Like you have to go through the learning experiences of, meeting the people that where your boundaries at, and you just know what you like and don't like, and also learning about the parts of yourself that you need to improve. Because I remember back when I was thinking about
I needed to do that a lot.
yeah, back when I was first,
I'm guilty of that.
back when people first told me that I need to care more, I was just like I felt like I was doing enough, so I was like, oh, whatever, that's just that. And then when multiple
They
people
told you needed to do what more?
like care more, like I was saying before, I was like too apathetic to shit.
Oh yeah.
So like
yeah,
I just like,
yeah,
oh, whatever, I guess our personalities didn't mix, I'll find somebody that because like I look at other relationships and I was like, well, that dude cares way less than I do, and I have good intentions, so it's like there's gotta be someone out there that likes me for me. And then when multiple people tell you that, you're like, okay, you kind of have to do a little
fucking nice guy.
little diagnostic check here.
You ain't getting no pusher if you're a nice guy.
Yeah, but like I said, you
Nice
have
guys
you have to
finish
go
last.
Just depends on what type
I'm sorry,
of nice guy.
I just had to go on like a red pill, just like tangent.
Your red pill
Oh,
journey
God.
stops when you date somebody, I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, that's yet to happen to me. I mean, for me, it stopped when I just stopped watching the videos because I realized like I don't really need to watch this anymore because I'd rather just do this podcast or read books or go to the gym or do actual daily activities.
As
You
opposed
know.
to sitting there and just and taking information that you're not going to do anything with.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good start. Like obviously, there's nothing wrong with like looking at this, but it's like there's eventually a point where you need to stop watching it because it's like it's like motivational videos. Like motivational videos can be fucking awesome. Like you can get a lot of good stuff out of that if you watch that shit right before you like do a workout or you just had some shit you didn't want to do and you're like, I need to do it. Let me just watch this motivational video. That shit works, man. But like, don't sit down at like 10 p.m watching like a motivation video of someone telling you to like just do it. It's like that's not the time and place, nor is it like the right amount. That's not the purpose of those videos.
Yeah.
It's wasting your life because you can just actually do what those people are telling you to do, which would literally be to not use your phone and watch YouTube videos late at night.
Yeah.
Because that's what those people advocate against.
I think this is my main problem with this type of content, and it goes into motivation, is that, and this is just me personally, like there's a lot of, like I can't just sit there and listen to somebody talk and feel motivated. I feel like it has to be very creative wordplay or something that really relates to me. But for me, what motivates me the most is,
sorry.
So the thing that motivates me the most is, God, fuck, I'm off my rocker today. Let me try this for a third time. The thing that motivates me the most is results. So I feel like I either have to provide my own results or like I look at people's accomplishments and that's motivating to me. And then I can listen to what they have to say. But like some fucker like behind a camera saying, you can do this. Like, like I feel like it's a mile wide and an inch deep. Like the words are hollow.
Oh, yes.
So,
like Joe Rogan has talked about this shit, about how like he and I too, and you probably do too, how like we cannot fucking stand like toxic positivity and like toxic like you can do it, be a badass, do this, you can do anything. It's like
yeah.
it's completely like just it's so intrinsically like it's insidious. And like you do know what I mean by that, right?
Yeah, I do, because it puts this arbitrary system in the people's heads that like no matter what you do and how you think about it, you have to have a positive outcome, or like the fact that you didn't achieve something was because your mindset, which as a double-edged sword is objectively 100% true. But if you don't understand the reason why you're getting fed this fucking positive nonsense, because you just like people aren't doing it because they want you to succeed. They're doing it because it's just easy to say and it sounds good and it's really sellable, so that's why they're saying it. Like they could give a fuck.
Because exactly, like those people get something from nothing, and who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Everyone wants something.
Yeah,
from nothing.
I can sit here on camera and be very fucking motivational, and people can get something from it. But then, if they don't reach their goal, that positive mindset only goes so fucking far. So it's like you can't just make up an arbitrary happy system then expect people to just follow it without any results or any specific ways to do things, because your mindset only takes you so far. Like everything is a mind. Let me be really clear here. Everything is a mind game. So yes, technically, if you have a different mindset and you change your outlook on things, you will achieve pretty much whatever you want in life. However, that's not the only fucking variable. Like you have to do other shit with that. So the fact, like just changing to a positive mindset is not innately going to get you success. And the fact that like people say that is just fucking stupid.
Exactly. Because like it's insidious because it twists this thing that is so awesome, which is inspiration. Like inspiration is like one of the coolest fucking things to experience as like a human being, and feel that like like just that awe and wonder and that desire to just to make something and like put yourself out. It's such a cool feeling. But it's like it takes that and it just replaces it with like just have a positive attitude. And it's like, yes, there's truth to that, but at the same time, like just having a positive attitude can't always fix that problem you're having with your girlfriend, or it can't fix that problem you're having with your dad and all this shit. It's like, because it implies that like you can just leave these things alone and shit. Just have a positive attitude.
I think it's
really vague too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like it teaches repression. Like you are not showing how to deal with a problem. You're just showing how to force yourself to be okay with fixing it. So like acceptance is a stage, it is a thing you have to go through. But I think you really can just chalk this whole entire discussion down to, when it comes to motivation and inspiration, it's more of a game of show me instead of telling me kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
think it's
and,
just
and it
that
also
simple.
just and you obviously get addicted to it, and like you obviously just want to stay in the phase of just watching motivational videos, which
Yeah.
we already mentioned.
And
Um,
also it's very condescending too, like especially like when people are
yeah,
having a
exactly.
problem
It's
and like people
insidious.
just
Yeah,
like force this positive like mindset shit on them, like it's very erasing.
yeah, because like okay, let's look at it this way. Like if someone asked me, they're like, "I am depressed. I see that you're happy. How do you get to like where you are?" And I would just be completely fucking honest with them. I wouldn't be like, you can fucking do it. I mean, like that would come maybe later on the line in certain situations. Like let's say I started taking this person to the gym and
Yeah.
I can see that he's getting stronger and he's about to do a lift. That's when I would do like the come on, you gotta fucking do it like that. But I wouldn't just hammer it into his head initially. Like yeah, no.
Yeah.
But like you said, a lot of this stuff it just isn't warranted
No, not at all.
because no, and I am obviously guilty of this because I mean this is my show. I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. Um, and I do understand I am still a 19-year-old kid, and I say kid because I wouldn't consider myself an adult. Um, and it's like I understand like my mind is not as developed as someone's mind at 28, 36, 40. Like it's completely different. Um, and I can sound sometimes like a guy who thinks he knows about everything, and I don't like to sound like that. Um, but sometimes I can't help it just because I feel like I have just like I mean, obviously, like I had that experience with moving that just completely just altered my consciousness essentially, and I've just had a bunch of these things that have just like I was like, whoa, this was just eye opening.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think
and
it's a
I
good thing to have because I know what you're talking about. I kind of sometimes fall into that category. I kind of smooth out the edges as I get older, but I think you need that kind of thing because for me, it's all about intention. Like I know, like when I obviously I've talked to you for quite a bit now, especially doing these little entries. So like even if we disagree on something or I feel like, I think you're going to change your mind when you go. I'm not that much fucking older than you in general, but, like, there's some things where I think, oh, I think he'll
right.
change his mind as the years go on. But I think you need to have that there. Like, you need to have me saying my opinion and then you saying your opinion and then someone listening to that and then figuring out which one works better for them because we are individuals
Yeah,
at the end of the day. So I think it's all about
yeah,
intention. Like,
no,
you're
and that
not
and
trying to be
that's
condescending
also
and you're not
sorry.
trying to be like, you're not trying to talk down to people. It's just you're giving your experience and your take on things. So I think if you
Yeah, I'm
go
just
from
being
that guise, then it's
honest.
fine.
Like, yeah, I'm just trying to be 100% honest,
Yeah.
and I feel like when I'm not, I just feel like I'm not myself. I'm not happy, and like I never want to say something that I don't sincerely believe in.
Yeah.
And that's why I still, I mean, like if you ask me, like I don't necessarily bring it up, and I'm trying to convert you all the time. But like if you ask me something, obviously about like the doctrine of the church or anything like that, I'll gladly answer it. Because I sincerely believe that all that's true, and that's why I defend it. You know.
And that's better than people just talking out of their ass or saying things they don't believe or they're just pandering. So, I mean, it's better to be that way. I just think, like I said, it's all about your intention and it's what. I mean, obviously, how you come across is a big thing too. But like I said,
That's
you
true.
really just
Yeah.
have to just be in the right. Like you have to come from the right disposition, and I think you're fine because you can have a disagreement and be fine. It has nothing as a fucking fight, or you come off as douchey about it. But I think going back to what you said, if someone were to ask me that question, like I'm depressed, what do I do? I've had that conversations with people. Like I've had conversations with people like on the verge of killing themselves. So I
Right.
always tell them like find your outlet. Just take some time to discover what you really like to do because once you change your mindset, there's a difference between I have to force myself to think good and feel good versus I want to do something I actually want to do because if you don't have that forced positivity eventually is going to get old and you're going to divert back into your old habits if you don't have something that replaces that. You have to find what you're good at, you have to find what you love to
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can only
Because
force yourself to be good for so long until you actually enjoy doing something.
and you can also force yourself to be happy for so long before you realize, like, okay, maybe I'm not, and maybe like forcing myself to be happy and be in a good mood all the time, even though like if some shit happened, like that's not good because
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about happiness versus sadness, good versus evil, X and Y, fire and ice, all this like all these kind of just like yin and yang. That's a good example of all these like these this like duality and these kind of conflicting ideas and the one side of the spectrum as opposed to the other. The only reason we can distinguish one from the other is their existence together, obviously, because happiness can't exist by itself, because happiness is, well, actually no, I'll put it this way: sadness is obviously, it's a lack of happiness, um and like you wouldn't know what sadness is if you didn't know what happiness is. And that's why, like, I've talked about this before, you can't know what true peace is unless you suffer, because when you have that suffer, you can truly see the difference of like what the opposite side of the spectrum is. That's why two opposites of the spectrum are closer to each other than being in the middle and being indifferent. That's why love and hate are closer to each other than indifference, and apathy.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, obviously that duality is a pretty, well-known topic of discussion, and it is important to go through both and not be bored in life. And I think we've touched on this before, didn't we, on duality?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it
But yeah,
is, it's
like
very important. And I think also not only it being important, just you have to understand why stuff is there, and you have to just find the best way to respond to it. Because I think the hardest thing for people, and I think why a lot of the people just revert to their vices or their addictions or just falling back into their mental health, even if they're on medication, is like like taking responsibility and acceptance is very difficult to do. And I think that's the first thing that people always just shy away from. So like I never really truly fixed my mistakes and my problems, until I took responsibility. It's there's just
yeah, no,
no way
it's
around it.
No, but it's simple things like that, like you're saying, where like they're literally superpowers.
Yeah.
Like these small, like these people think discipline has to be like, oh, I need to run like 3 miles every day. It's like, no, that's not what it is. Stop watching those fucking motivational videos. That's what that's telling you. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's literally just, what can I do now that would benefit me in the long run, and I'm gonna feel better afterwards, and I can go back and do the fucking dopamine shit. It's basically like, oh, I need to take out the trash, but I'm playing video games. I could wait and then feel really bad playing the video games and just have that thing waning over me, or I could just do it now, have it done, and it's done. I feel good. I can play video games without feeling guilty, and it's such a simple thing. And you hear your parents tell you it, you hear your teachers tell you it, you hear your coaches tell you but it's true. And like, I hate to sound like the guy who's just reinforcing stuff you've already heard, but it's like it couldn't be more true. And like, there's a reason that these lessons are taught, obviously. You know?
I just think there just needs to be a change in delivery because I mean, if you think about it, all of these premises are super simple. They're just very hard to do in practice. And I fuck, dude, I am losing my train of thought as the second goes by. I had really profound things I wanted to say, and it all just slipped out of my
Damn.
head. So
I actually do too, if you wanna let me go.
go ahead, man. I'll think about it when you're done.
No, I mean, I think life as a whole is very simple.
Yeah.
Obviously, because to like, obviously, like, this is another duality, which is complexity and simplicity. You only know it's simple because of what is complex, and what is complex, you only know because what is simple. And like, you know that like something is complex, but at the same time, it at its bare bones, it's still very simple. And something is like, if something is simple, you can still explain how it is simple on a complex level. Kind of just like what I'm doing right now, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you can just boil down, and this is one of the proofs of the existence of God, actually. How, you can say like, oh well, it's like, you go all the way back to like, well, here's like the tree. Where does the tree come from? It comes from the seed, and the seed combines with the soil. But it's like, where does the seed come from? Where does the soil come from? And it's like all these different things, and it goes all the way back, and it's like, where does that come from? Like that's why we are all bound together by this reality. Like, like if I touch you, you feel that. Obviously, if, you have all five of your senses. And if someone touches me, I feel that too. And like we both have that correspondence. We can we can look at each other and nod, which means affirmative.
Yeah.
And like we can agree on these things. And that's why because we're all bound by this reality, there is this ultimate like first cause and like supreme being and like first creator, and this creator that like binds all of this together. And you could see this idea a lot in certain literature that you wouldn't realize, like in Star Wars. That's what the Force is essentially, because the Force is, it's like how Obi-Wan describes. It's an energy field created by all living things. It binds the galaxy together. And obviously Han Solo, he's like, oh, I don't believe in all that like witchcraft religion bullshit. But then eventually, like as he like develops, he realizes like, oh, this actually is kind of this is real and shit. And it was cool to see his like character progress like that. Um, but like it was very much like he's like, I've been from one side of the galaxy to the other. There's come on, like you seriously think there's like a whole thing that's connecting everything? And Luke's just like, yep, I do.
Yeah, and inquisitively, I think it takes. I mean, you have to have some sort of spiritual understanding, whether you relate that to, like you said, like just the thought of creation and being on that same wavelength with people, or if you just think it's an elevated form of consciousness that you have to just get that, that understanding from nothing, if that makes sense. It's like you can just be happy in the present and you can understand, or it's not just over analyzing and having like so much critical thinking to the point where you just like freak yourself out. Yeah.
Overthinking, over
I didn't mean to go full
analyzing.
circle and make that point again, but
I love that song. I love Tool. I love so many things, dude. I'm really fucking happy right now. Uh
you feeling
yeah.
elevated? You feeling you're in another plane of dimension?
Yeah, no, it's because like I feel because you know how like certain people get their energy from like different things and stuff like that. I get a lot of my energy from just having like a legitimate just sit down and talk to someone. I don't necessarily get my energy from like just the mundane conversation that's from every day, but like when I can just sit down and talk to you like this, it's just so it's just it's I don't know how to describe it. It's euphoria. It's such like and this is something that did I ever tell you about metaphysics?
I know what they are, but I don't think we've talked about it.
Okay, so my senior year of high school, I took a metaphysics class, and that was the best class. It was the most eye-opening class. It was the most mind-bending class I had ever taken in my life. So basically, metaphysics is the study of being and not being. And it basically and it defines what it is to be. And like there's three different types of being. There's esse, which comes from Latin, which just means to be, which is the action of being. And then there is I think it's ens, which is in Latin it translates to like, and that's the thing, it can be difficult to translate these languages, but that is kind of like I believe like fuck, I forgot about that. But then the third one is entity. And that's obviously like an entity is like a being itself, And how there's like those three different kinds of beings, and how um God, when he says to Moses, I am who am, what he's basically saying is like I like my essence is being. Like my essence is essence. And like there's no other way to describe it. And that's the thing, because the word to be, it doesn't have any syllables that go below it, because you can have a syllable for like give me any word. Give me like a random verb.
A random verb.
Yeah, just tell me a random verb.
Oh man, there's so many provocative ones to choose from. Where should I start?
Right, but try to think of like a complicated one, I guess.
Gerrymandering.
Um, no.
Fine, skiing.
Um, skiing. Yeah. Okay. So skiing, you can deduce that to like I don't know. You could say moving, or
The science
Another
of
example would
movement, the
be,
energy.
yes, exactly. Or a good example would be dictate, because dictate means you could put that down to, um, I guess, say, and it's like there's nothing below say. And it's like, but at the same time, like all of these words go back to the word to be.
Right.
And you can see the word to be in like every single word essentially. And there's nothing below to be. And also the way that like the class would describe like these really fucking abstract philosophical concepts like change and like your actual essence, and how it was so fucking fascinating how you are constantly changing and you are technically like you are not the same person that you were 5 seconds ago, if you know what I'm saying.
Especially while we're doing this medium too, when you're like, if you're actively engaging and learning a new thing or thinking about a new philosophy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly, because like the Jason that was 5 seconds ago is not same Jason that is now,
I'm still
because
just
I have
as
just
dumb, but more enlightened.
right. And you just had the fucking Will explain to you some bullshit. Um but it was really just fucking like what the hell? Like I had never had a class like it. I don't think I ever will have a class like it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Oh, and
metaphysics is interesting, and it has a very similar concept to basically just the philosophy of being, and they kind of developed like, if you want to talk about like esoteric Gnosticism, it kind of just devolves into energy and vibration. Like everything has a vibration. That's why, people always say, "Oh, your thoughts have consciousness," right? Because your brain's emitting a signal, and that lands somewhere on the frequency spectrum, right? So there's a theory
yeah,
where
and
like
that
if you die, your energy
um
can transfer over, and then like that's why like some people, like when they believe in reincarnation, your energy just transforms into another form of consciousness, or you can just you basically perceive time and space more abstract as opposed to linear if you kind of have an elevated vibration or consciousness. So I think in terms of philosophy, it's a very kind of similar perspective. Like you really can have a better understanding of the self, or a better understanding of your subconscious when you kind of look within. And there's actually a guy kind of tying this in. This kind of gets really pseudo, but have you ever heard of epigenetics?
no,
So
I've
this
not.
this guy, he is an actual licensed doctor, and I don't quite remember what he does, but his research has not really been it's not been pretty much backed up by mainstream science or anything like that. But he basically was like, the premise that we're a slave to our genetics is not right. We just been fed the wrong program. So he's under the belief
Oh,
that
okay.
like you have power over your genes, and you can pretty much just like write sort of your code to fix some of the illnesses and the diseases. So it can kind of get dicey because like his whole point is like to the people that get cancer or like really bad autoimmune diseases. So it's like it's hard to get past that mentality of, oh, I'm a victim, but then you can't tell them, oh, I'm the one that actually did this to myself. You know what I mean? So it kind of gets dicey, but it
Okay.
kind of goes into that same sort of premise where you have a lot more autonomy over your life than you realize. And whether that actually goes as far as to creep into your own biology, that's a whole different story. But the cool thing about metaphysics is like it's a really like self-reflective, like it really makes you question yourself. And I think you become a better person when you look within and have those discussions with you. And I find that topic interesting too, how it relates to everything. But like that's why like spirituality and religion is very interesting, because if you actually look between like what different religions are saying, they have very, very similar presences, or I'm sorry,
Well,
very
yeah, no,
similar
it all
ideas and
alludes to
concepts.
something. Yeah,
But
no, they
yeah,
exactly.
when it comes to like
Um,
pure Gnosticism, it's pretty much the same. Whether it's the soul, the energy of consciousness, like it pretty much has the same sort of innuendo, I would say.
yeah. Well, so metaphysics is also the study of what is one, true, good, and beautiful,
Yeah.
and defining those four terms and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it was mainly that one we had about change, but also there was this one we talked about like what is beautiful, and I don't remember if they brought up the Fibonacci sequence, but they might have. I just got reminded of that because I was listening to Lateralis today.
The sacred geometry,
Um,
bruh.
yeah, no, and how because
Speaking of,
I
before
mean,
you get
and
into that point, did you ever watch the interview where Maynard was talking about how like ridiculous it was that people attributed the Fibonacci number sequence, or like he kind of felt like he called it like it was sophomoric for him to force those numbers into a song because like that's what, and if you're gonna tie that into what we perceive as beauty, like that type of symmetry we just naturally gravitate towards. So, like the things that are usually like really well liked and perceived are the stuff that we just innately gravitate towards. It has that's some sort of symmetry, whether it follows the Fibonacci or whatever fucking geometrical pattern.
yeah, it's just because like we have these things just kind of in our brains, like that is just aesthetically pleasing, or just like that just makes sense,
Yeah.
you know. But it's like a lot of modern art doesn't fulfill that, so that's like we look at that and we're like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
But I didn't want
but
to divide you from that topic, but I'm really curious to hear
sure,
like what the
sure,
concept of beauty is, because I don't even think I know in terms of
yeah.
metaphysics.
So basically, like metaphysics, what is like beauty is basically it consists of symmetry,
Okay, so
um, and like it's not in not all circumstances, but I'm pretty sure it also is like its resemblance to reality. Because like and I'm not, that doesn't mean it necessarily needs to look photorealistic like a picture to look beautiful. Like a painting doesn't need to look photorealistic. It can be stylized, but it still has to have that sort of thing in it that alludes to something else, like that alludes to something that's real. Obviously, because we can look at a painting of a human. It doesn't matter how stylized it is. We can still look at that and go, yeah, that's a human, and
yeah.
that is something that I know, and that's something that's real. And that's another thing we talk about that's it's coming to me. We talked about how it was ideas. We talked about ideas and how are ideas real because we can think of them. It's like, are unicorns real because we can think of them in our head? Like we like think of a unicorn. You have the image in your head right now. Does that mean it's real?
I remember having that discussion in philosophy. My professor used that exact analogy, like, are unicorns real? Do they exist? Or the fact that you think about them, does that give them consciousness? Like, I remember having that talk and people debated back and forth. That's why I hated taking philosophy, because I felt like you mean,
No, that's very on the nose. That style I probably wouldn't like. Um, like the way you yeah, like you were just like talking about your like how your teacher said it. That sounds a little bit annoying. But also that the ideas thing and how like you can have an idea of like a unicorn coming down the street. Let's say the unicorn is white, but what if I told you the white is coming down the street? It's like you that doesn't make sense, and that brings back to like the three states of being, you know. And also, do you know what accents and substance is?
refresh me.
So substance is like essential to like an entity. Like it is required to complete the purpose and like the, like that thing, obviously. Um Accidents are things that are not required to complete the thing, but are just kind of like extra features. Like for example, like the way your hair looks. Like your hair is not part of your human substance, but it is a human accident.
I see. Okay.
Um
Yeah. That
yeah,
makes sense to me now.
there's just so much cool shit. I would love to just go back and see it like again.
I think when it
Yeah.
comes to the concept of beauty, though, so it's like to me, like the beauty in that kind of symmetry is the fact that like it occurs in nature. So it's like that is a part of the intelligent design, whether it be random or by a creator, right? It's like that is the beauty of symmetry, but also it is a little bit subjective too,
Yeah.
because like obviously like the majority of
Yeah.
people can gravitate. It's like you don't know why you like something, or like because if you have perfect symmetry, sometimes it looks weird, especially like within human faces. Like you never see like those recreated
Sometimes,
human
yeah.
faces that are perfectly symmetrical and they look like aliens. Like that's not, like, symmetry is not everything in beauty, especially like there are people who do find beauty in like that ugly shit, or like with modern art or whatever, right? So like I don't think symmetry is the end all be all for beauty, but I think in terms of you looking
It's an
at
important
something,
factor though.
well, it's only because like our brain is
Um
really good at recognizing patterns. So like if it has a really like consistent pattern, that's what we like. So in terms of art
yeah.
and music, having that sort of pattern, everybody has a different pattern that they like, but it's for the most part, like I like symmetrical things. I like geometry. I think it looks cool. And in terms of music, it really fits. But it's not like there is some like weird looking shit that isn't symmetrical that I do enjoy, or if it's just I think it's like I enjoy looking at it because it's funny, not because I naturally think it's like beautiful to look at, or the fact that I'm enjoying a moment by looking at it, that in itself is beauty. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it goes deeper than just symmetry.
No, yeah, you're right. What? Yeah, because it's like symmetry, it's connection to reality, and like I don't think it was this, but it might have been color or something. Like I that probably wasn't it.
Yeah, there's
But
so
there
many
was a third
factors.
thing. There was a
Also,
third thing
smell
to
too is a big
factor into
one.
beauty. Yeah, no, but one of the other transcendentals, which was those four things I said, which is one, true, good, and beautiful. What is good was also really interesting because it was talking about how like there's different kinds of good and there's different ways that different things are good because there's a difference between the good in eating a piece sorry in like eating a piece of pie and it tastes good. That's good, but it's not the good in the same way as like winning a race. And winning a race, the good from winning a race is not the same good as like visiting your grandmother and stuff like that.
I think it just depends on what you're talking about. So it's like if you like run races all the time, you get normal. But then like if you normally don't eat a whole pie and then you like are able to eat a whole pie, like that good would be greater than the guy that wins races all the time. It just depends on what you're talking about. But
Well,
it's also like
basically it was like
culturally is also there's different interpretations of good. Like it just because like you're of this culture that we have a specific set of rules that, I mean, arguably the line is blurred, especially within the legal system, but for the most part people at least have a very specific set of things they have as a moral compass, or things that are good and bad, but that shit changes from culture to culture. So I
but
the only thing I can
but
think
we
of is
can
like the thing that is I don't look at stuff that's like good. I look at more, I feel like bad is easier to identify. So like you can understand suffering because that's more universal. So I feel like you can dictate stuff that is good if it doesn't cause that sort of anguish and suffering, which is different, from person to
but
person.
suffering obviously can be a positive thing.
It can
If
be,
it's
but
not,
sometimes
then
it
it's then
can't
you're
be.
then it's that's sadistic, yeah.
But that's what I'm
No,
saying. It
because if
just
it's it,
it literally just depends on what you're talking about. I don't. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes this spiritual stuff can kind of get wishy washy because you're throwing out a universal, code to like individual things that sometimes it just doesn't apply.
the only thing that applies to everyone is Jesus,
You can't
and I
say that
stand by
every
that
single
claim.
time.
Yes, it does. Of course, I can say that.
Oh.
Uh, I don't know if I want to get into this.
What?
Um, no, just because like we've talked enough about like these kind of things and like just like religious debate, and like, I just don't really think you'd want to talk about it more. I don't know.
I'm not going into religious debate. I just think it's interesting, and because I don't know where I've heard metaphysics before, um, but I like I said, I think really, honestly, even the true beauty, like even if you want to take any sort of those ideologies into practice, it's just the fact that you're doing self-reflecting, and you can latch on. It's like the power of placebo is really strong. So if you're doing something that you think is actually beneficial, and it objectively is beneficial, especially to the people around you, then it doesn't matter what that thing is. Like I feel like people get way too caught up in specifics, and sometimes like they're too narrow. Like they have so much tunnel vision, and then there's other factors that come into play that they didn't realize that also was helpful for that growth too. And that's what I'm saying. Going back to what I was saying about people asking me for advice when they're depressed, like I always tell them like I'm not the best person to ask. I just know like this works for me, and when from my educational guesses and just looking at people, because I'm pretty observant. Like I look at how people live their lives, and I try to like avoid the mistakes that they make and inadvertently make my own mistakes. But it just seems like everybody is just trying to avoid what actually is good and what actually makes them feel good, and then they're just trying to force the good, and then that kind of euphoria goes away. So that's why I just the beauty is just finding your sense of self, and I think most of your anguish after that kind of goes away.
Yeah, because like a lot of like we were talking about like depression comes from like a lack of identity and like also like conformity, but
Ideology
like
wise, yeah, I obviously there's a bunch of
yeah,
biological shit like the chemical imbalances and all that, but I think like because like
but those
people.
come from these external things, obviously.
Oh, for sure, and yeah, and external meaning like media, food, culture, like like there's a bunch. Like it's not
Yeah,
just like you're
there's
born
a
with this
bunch of
innate
billion different
chemical
factors.
imbalance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like most of it is pharmaceutical companies pushing that narrative onto psychologists and psychiatrists, and it's on like
Yeah.
when I listen to people talk, it just sounds like they've been sold a fucking codependency, and it's sad. And I think you have to do things in tandem. So it's like if you have cancer, like you don't just want to switch to like obviously chemo is awful, but it's gonna be the matter of life and death. So it's like you're supposed to do natural remedies with that. So you can take medicine and change your minds. I mean, you have to do more than just being a victim of things. Like you can't just like coast through your life and expect other people to fix your shit for you. You have to have that sense of autonomy. And the people that keep going into rehab or keep falling back into their vices or can never beat their mental illness, it's because they've just fallen into that trap.
Yeah. No Jesus.
You gotta be more specific. Because I feel like that kind of forces that same thing. So it's like you can't just like make a blanket. You have to get specific with it because.
Well, I'll put it this way then. Sure. So, well, no, it's basically so. So Jesus is like, he is the great teacher. He is the wisest master. He is the greatest human being to ever walk this earth. He is the source of everything that is good, true, one, and beautiful. So anything that he did was perfect. Therefore, if I need to look like if I need advice, I need anything to help me in life, I always turn to him because I know that everything he says is true. He even says this. He says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the light of the world." Like you could see this in like a bunch of the different things he says. And that's why since Jesus is the greatest good, there is no good outside of him. So, if you do something that is objectively good, it is in the realm of Christ, if you see what I'm saying. And when you lack Christ, you can no longer do anything good, essentially.
Have you, and I don't know if you know about, I mean, they might have told you in Metaphysics, but you might find this interesting. Are you aware of like the actual like written down Gnostic teachings of Jesus that his disciples recorded?
Well, like, tell me what the Gnostic teaching is just one more time.
So it basically, he had a bunch of like mystical doctrines basically to help people ascend to a higher spiritual truth, not just speaking the word of God or doing miracles or talking in metaphor. Like he actually had like philosophical ideas, and I'm gonna say this wrong. I think one of the most important Gnostic scriptures that he did was the Pistis Sophia, or Pistis, I think it's how you say it, Pistis. And so basically it's kind of like that similar plane of like because most of the thing, I think the church has kind of gone away from that sort of mindset because it's more like it's the difference between telling somebody what to do for control and like giving somebody the control to shape their own life. So like a lot, in my opinion, of most of modern religion has kind of played off with that fact. Obviously, like if you can take the aspect of like the word of God and the Eucharist and the gospel, and then you can kind of elevate your own spiritual life, you've kind of got the point already. But the fact that the church doesn't really kind of, like most people don't even know about that side of him, that he, like I said, he has whole scriptures about, self-improvement in that light of mysticism.
He never wrote that though.
Hmm?
And the other thing is because like, well, no, but Jesus he never wrote that down. But
apparently it was a scripture that he had, this scripture of
no, but the other thing is like these are not accepted as divinely inspired because they like the reason that the four gospels that exist are the ones that are accepted because there's tons of gospels. Obviously there's tons of gospels written, and they had a bunch of these dudes like, hey, we need to figure out which ones are real and which ones are not. And the four gospels are the only ones that like the details like actually match, not like 100%. There's variation, but like they more or less do, like in terms of like what Jesus says, the actual details of like the plot and everything. They're the four that are like the most consistent, and the other ones, even if like, oh yeah, it'll be like different, but like there's not another book, there's not another gospel that is like comparable to it, if you see what I'm saying. Because even like during the early church, and like when the first like heretics were arising, like the reason that you need a bishop in a church in order for it to be a church, and to have validly ordained priests, because the bishops are the descendants of the apostles, and the apostles had the Holy Spirit come upon them, and the apostles did the laying of the hands on the successors to them, and so on and so forth. And when you don't have that, you no longer have that like divinic connection, obviously, to Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And even in the early church, there was other people that didn't do that. They didn't do the like the laying on of the hands, and they were like, no, we are the real church. Listen to us. And yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, the fact that this is
that's why this stuff matters at the end of the day.
I don't know. I just think some of it's by design because I mean it's been obviously like anything that's not been the main gospels has been contradicted by the church because there are a lot of alternatives that people have claimed, especially like I said through the Dead Sea Scrolls and all the shit that people claim to be missing books. But the thing that's interesting about this one is it focuses basically like that's why you should go look it up, the Pisces Sophia, because it's claimed it's like it's basically written by his disciples after like resurrection, and he basically it goes into the topic of like consciousness in terms of self, in terms of body and soul.
No, like obviously the book is not banned. Like
no, it's not banned, but it's just not like formed.
Yeah.
It's not seen as like a legible part of Christianity, which I find very interesting. That like that aspect of Christianity is not find legible when it could be probably have a lot of self improvement, especially if it's been because I feel like if all it takes is somebody high in the church to validate that this is what Jesus taught, and then that should be the only thing that really should be important to people, right? Especially if it's beneficial.
Right. No, there obviously is a lot of good things that come out of this. But at the same time, like I brought up, is that there's just certain, and I don't know which ones it would be specifically, but the reasons that these books were not included in the canon is because they just contain facts, even if it was small or a lot, that just are not true and contradict the ultimate message of Jesus. And obviously, like the church, even like when they comment about these kind of books, like you can get a lot out of these books, but they're like at the end of the day, they're just not the divinely inspired word of God.
That's my whole point. That's why I find it interesting that like stuff of that vein is not considered like the word of God, or actually, let me rephrase that. The fact that that kind of structure goes against the word of God. That's why in my like view looking in, it's more of an aspect of control because like I said, self-perseverance and responsibility kind of trumps like that herd mentality. So like it's not as easy to control people when they're under the guise of they found their identity and the sense of purpose. They don't have to get that within a group or like within a social setting. Like they have that sense of autonomy. But I just think it's interesting why that is contradictory, because I don't think it has to be to me the only reason it should be contradicting is if you're trying to control people. Like having a self-improving message should not be contradictory to that message. Like I don't get that when I hear that. That's why I think it's interesting.
Oh, put it this way.
It shouldn't contradict it is what I'm saying.
I mean, obviously, like it is only contradicting in certain parts, obviously, but at the end of the day, the church is not only concerned, obviously, with what is right and wrong, but it is literally concerned with just what is factually true and what is not. That's why like there was debates for hundreds of years about the nature of Jesus, and like is he divine, is he human, is he fully God, is he fully human, is he like partially the both, and there's tons of debate over that, because that's like obviously the mission of the church is to spread the good news and the gospel and to bring Jesus to the world, but also it is concerned of like what is true and what is false, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think in any sort of message that you can take, it's like I said, it's whatever you personally find beneficial. But yeah, I would give it a read. I want to see what your thoughts is on it, because it kind of touches on some of those similar sort of planes. It deals with consciousness and sense of self, and it kind of really like, I mean, honestly, metaphysics probably came similar from those types of teachings, because they all just sound too similar to not be connected. So it pretty much gives the same sort of like, I don't know, because when I listen to metaphysics, it feels like it's of the same vein as all the other stuff I was just talking about. So that's why I'm saying I don't know how like that part could be contradicting. I mean, because
no, it is related, obviously, but how do I put it? I mean, it's like you said, how, you know, and we've talked about this, how like every kind of culture and every history, there's always like devotion to a higher power, and there's always worship to something else, and that just, obviously, it's, to me, it's just more proof that there is something there, because it's like there is no culture that does not worship something.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a higher power. Like we just have an innate need to worship things, and or just be addicted to things, or just have something else take the
I
reins
mean,
for to have responsibility over our lives. I think that's a pretty human concept.
well, yeah, because we're always trying to find the meaning. Like, you
Yeah.
can't have a life where you say that there is no meaning. Like, that doesn't work. You're always trying to find the meaning. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you say there's no meaning, because you'll just still try to find it. Or the meaning is that there is no meaning.
Yeah, I hear people say that, and I think it's just more based off of trauma or the fact that the world's so fucked up because it's easy. And I kind of carry some of those mindsets where it's like, like I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm bad with money. Like I'm not in like massive amounts of debt, but I don't save as much as I should. And I think my mindset is just like, fuck it, the world's just going down to hell. Everything's getting inflated. I might as well enjoy the short time I have on this planet as opposed to like trying to save more money in case of emergency or just being more, fiscally smart. So
Oh, no, and there's a lot of good from that. Like, obviously, I just rewatched Toy Story 2, and it had that really profound message in it, which I was so impressed. It was that it was like in a kids movie. It's how,
I think it's funny.
like
Every
how,
time we talk about stuff like this, you always tie it back to a message in a kids movie.
yeah, no, it's because they're fucking genius. But yeah, so how, like, how Woody gets his like arm ripped, and then Andy is like, "Damn, I don't want to play with you anymore, Woody. I'll just put you up on like the reserve shelf or whatever." And then Woody's like, "Wait, shit, like my time with Andy is like temporary and shit." And then, he has the offer to go with like Jesse, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete to go to that museum in Japan. And they're telling him like, "Oh, it'll be great. We'll be there forever. Like, we'll have people watching us forever. It'll be like, it's a never-ending like paradise of just people will always be watching us." And like, that's great. And then Woody's like, "Oh yeah, of course." I think he wants to go with them because he's like, "Oh, well, Woody's like, Andy doesn't care about me anymore." But then he's like, "Oh wait," and like Buzz tries to talk to him. He's like, "Dude, you seriously want to like be behind glass and like not be able to like move and have all of these random people look at you that you don't even know? Like, you want that for the rest of your life? Is that seriously gonna make you happy?" It's like, and then Andy's like, "No, sorry, fuck." And then Woody's like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, maybe this time that I have with Andy, even if it's temporary, I'm just gonna fucking enjoy it, Because, yeah, that's what life's all about."
Yeah, I think you kind of have to live in both parallels. Like you can't have the mindset like, oh, I'm gonna just do impulse decisions because you're using the excuse of the world being a fucked up place, or it is true, time is short, but you don't want to put yourself in situations where it's going to cause you more anguish. So you kind of have to find that line of, if it's, you have to think of the consequence. Like, is this consequence going to be super detrimental? And then if not, then you can hit the fuck it button.
Yeah.
So I just think it's, for me, I kind of teeter more on the fuck it line, even though I mean I am responsible, and like I said, I'm not in trouble. So I just need to not blow as much money as I do, but I'm not going to get myself into like massive amounts of debt. That's not going to be a thing unless like I have medical, like unless something really bad happens, but not just out of compulsory or a compulsive behavior.
Yeah, that shit always crossed my head. Like, oh shit, what if I get cancer? Like, oh shit, what if I like accidentally? What if
Yeah.
someone rams into
You
me
can't
on the
do that,
highway?
man. You
Like,
can't do that
oh
to yourself.
fuck.
You gotta push those intrusive thoughts
Oh
away.
no, exactly. It's not like a constant thing, but like, that's what I do. Is I just go listen to like Tool. It just fucking takes it away, man. I'm telling you, I was listening to Fear Inoculum again the other day. Oh man, that album, it just brings me to tears sometimes. And like, I'm not afraid to say that cuz it does. It's so, like, Maynard's voice it's so beautiful. I don't even know how to like put it in other words. Like, he has a beautiful voice. It legitimately just moves my soul. And especially like on the title track, on Invincible and Numa, and like all of them, man. Like Descending, I think Descending is just one of the most epic tracks they've ever done. Same with Tempest, and like, really, honestly, I would be fine if that was like their last album, because I think they just fucking went, like, they just did it. And like, it honestly, a lot of the songs, it just kind of sounds like that. And they were talking about that, obviously, like in Invincible, how I obviously, like Maynard with his lyrics, he's like, you can take whatever you want from it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But I was reading this one article about how Invincible is kind of like um aging and like the inevitable like wisdom, but also like um breakdown that you get with age. And that's like that was relating to how Tool is just kind of older now. Oh, and I just thought that was genius, because I
Yeah.
remember you had told me how like that was their kind of most basic lyrics, which yes, you're right.
It's their most
They're kind of
straightforward for sure. I mean, that the theme of
yeah,
like
straightforward, yeah.
coping with you getting weaker as you're getting older was a pretty prevalent theme in that. He fucking referenced Ponce de Leon for God's sake, like
Yeah, I know.
like it was pretty straightforward. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, going back to the singing thing, I do. Yeah, he's one of my favorite vocalists. I find his voice very beautiful. It's funny because like my because like obviously like I listened to my dad. I don't know if I told you when they came to DC a couple years ago. I actually took my dad to go see them because
Oh
he's not the
shit.
biggest fan of this
Nice.
genre, but it was still like I like doing like father son stuff, so I decided to go. And it's funny because like he Parabola is his favorite song from them. But what's
Nice.
funny because like you say like his voice is so beautiful. I remember I put on the because it starts off with Parable, um, and he was like, "Do you ever notice that when he sings, it sounds like he's in pain? Like it sounds like he's like physically injured while he's singing."
What? He said that?
Yeah, he was like, it sounds like he's like whimpering when he sings. It sounds like he like busted his toe on a door and then like just went into the microphone.
That's not what I get out of it, but
I can
okay.
kind of hear it, like when he goes like the little like the higher pitch kind of moans and whines that he does, like with the little with his intonation. Yeah, it kind of sounds like he's in pain. He's just like he's kind of wailing.
Oh, 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 oh,
But
oh my god. I cannot believe how like their music it just ignites that like we were talking about, just like that inspiration, especially from Fear Inoculum. And I feel guilty liking Fear Inoculum a fuck ton. And like I'm starting to like it more than the other first like few albums. Um but I just like I'm just like I'm sorry. Like the songs on there that are actually songs, because I know half of them are just cryptic stuff, are just like I don't know what it is. Like they just inspire me in a way that like I'm not saying that their other music doesn't. It just this one kind of just does it in a different way, if you know what I'm saying.
I think it's just also because that's really I mean not the album that like you got introduced to them with, but like the fact that like you listen to them a lot and that's their newest album. It's like that's the one that you play the most, and it's just the one that's like the freshest. Like it's pretty much going to be the one that you gravitate towards. It's like whatever that, because I assume like this is like that's the first album that you really got into with them.
Well, Fear Inoculum?
Yeah.
No, 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 no. The first album I listened to them was I think it was Undertow, because I had listened to a little bit of 10,000 Days, and then I
Undertow was
went
your
back and was
one?
like, that was the first one I listened to from
Crazy.
start to finish. Yeah. But the one that did stick to me for a while was um I was like in Anima, but then I remember I was in the gym in like Baton Rouge or some shit when I was visiting for might have been like Easter or something like that. I remember I just listened to Lateralis in the gym and I was like, whoa. Like and I had listened to it before, but I was like this time I was like, whoa, there's something here that's like fucking awesome.
I think also listening to any music in the gym really accentuates it because you're in a heightened sense and like you
Oh
got your
yeah.
adrenaline going. So like if you have music to match that, like you're gonna really like it more. Like there's songs that I'm like all right whatever, but then like when I listen to them in the gym, I just think because like you're in that headspace, it's like it's just any music in the gym is gonna get you going.
Even Beethoven, bro.
I haven't listened to classical in the gym. I should try that to see what that does. I probably would get
Yeah,
it probably would bore me to
that
where the point where like I get frustrated, like I would like really like I'm the type of person like if I don't zone out in the gym, like I can't do my workout because like I just notice how hard it is, and then I want to stop immediately, and it's just I
oh
need to zone
yeah.
out.
He's like, you don't have that order, like that. Come on, like I need to get the rhythm going.
Yeah, exactly. I lose the
Um,
rhythm and I just don't want to do it, so I have to.
right.
I don't know though. I'm kind of curious to try that. I'm gonna give that a go this week and see what that does.
What, the classical music?
Yeah, to see if I can actually do it in the gym.
Um, there's a lot of music from Vivaldi, which is it's very ostinato, like so it's gonna sound very like urgent and like Like it's more entertaining, obviously, like on the surface level.
Was he a Flight of the Valkyries? Is that him, or am I thinking of it?
No, I think Flight of the Valkyries is Wagner.
Okay, because I like that song. That song I could probably listen to in the gym.
That's good. I love I think it's Blue Danube, like the da 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 da.
I
Oh,
could
that
not
shit
listen.
is
I would
just.
laugh my ass because like every time I see that in a movie, I'm just
Oh
like,
no,
God damn it!
I wouldn't do that like in the gym, but I just that music is just mwah. Oh, it's so good.
I just think of
Um,
like people in wigs, fucking ballroom dancing, and I just fuck.
it's a cool aesthetic. But anyways, no, Vivaldi was the Four Seasons dude.
Okay.
He was Venetian, and he was also a priest.
Vivaldi.
Vivaldi.
Um.
Yeah, no, like the Italians, they fucking knew what they were doing with music. So did the Germans,
Yeah.
because the Germans have Bach, who is like the grandfather of like basically all Western music. Um,
Kalmbach.
he did that. You know, Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which is like it's the quote unquote like Dracula music.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bach did all of that. Any like badass, dark, moody organ shit, Bach did all that stuff.
I do
It's
enjoy
it's
some of that.
excellent.
Yeah. I don't know if I like. Again, I wouldn't sit and listen to it, but I do enjoy it every time I hear it.
You wouldn't even sit and listen to that stuff?
Not voluntarily. I don't listen really to classical music at all.
Uh, I think I might need to bring. I might need to get a recommendation for that. Like I need to get some kind of classical thing.
Yeah, be a good change of pace.
Overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the
That's
mind.
not going to become a recurring thing on here.
Yeah, Will, you better not fucking recommend that. Yeah, no, I had another idea. Like, what if we talked about an album that like it doesn't necessarily need to be Lateralis, but it's like an album where it's like, yes, we know that one, we like that one, but let's just go and talk about it in a more in-depth way. I don't know.
Yeah, we could.
It could work like oh, let's talk about obviously I don't think I've even listened to the whole opiate
Yeah, do
one.
that. Do that one next. I'll for the next one do opiate. Can like really get involved. Like I'm trying to think. A lot of the
Oh, you want to do that as your recommendation?
yeah, why not? I was gonna recommend a Slipknot
Okay.
album next, but if you want to do that, then we can do that.
I mean, which one would you rather do? Because I don't really care.
Um, we can do both if you want, because like I've obviously I've heard it.
Oh, and also opiate's really short, so
Yeah,
I
it's
guess we
not that.
could.
It's only like 8 tracks, I think, or even less than that. It's not that long.
Right, I'm trying to remember. Wait, the Marc Anthony album was 9.
Yeah, that was a good pace.
Um, actually, nah, I think I'd actually rather just do opiate. I
Okay.
hate to be.
Yeah, we'll do that for
Um,
next time.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, man, we haven't been talking for
Well,
2 hours yet. I think this is a good place to end it.
yeah, no, I can't believe we're finishing early.
That's just how the flow
Yeah.
goes, man.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow I'm going to Tennessee.
For what?
My sister's graduation.
How many sisters do you have?
I
Oh,
have
wait,
three
wait.
sisters.
I forgot. I remember you mentioning your sister in Tennessee last time. I was just like, holy fuck, how many states you have sisters in?
Yeah, Will. What the fuck? Yeah, I have. For those wondering, I have one brother and 3 sisters, so we are 5 children.
Nice, fruitful family.
Yes, and we live in a townhouse for 3 people, I think, because we decided to rent this house before COVID hit, and obviously, like 3 of the 5 siblings were in college at the time, so we didn't think about that. And then they all had to move back in for COVID, and it's like, fuck, what do we do?
Ruh-roh. Yeah, townhomes suck for that, especially because they're so
Yeah,
narrow inside.
yeah, but it honestly got kind of cozy and fun after a while. Like we had to get through the annoying shit, but then you know.
Yeah, I find that coziness with like single story ranch homes. Like I don't need a ton of space. I don't need a 2-story house, especially because it's a house you can retire in. Man, you don't want a bunch of fucking steps when you're older. You don't have to be sent into a home or install a chairlift on your fucking house.
Yeah, like the dude and up.
Yeah, like fuck that. You don't need a 2-story
Oh,
house.
dude, You saw that
Have less
fucking
stuff,
meme?
people.
Yeah, listen to George Carlin. Why do we have stuff? And he was like, why do we have our houses? To put our stuff in. Because if you didn't have any stuff, you wouldn't even need your house. You'd just be walking around.
Oh, fucking George Carlin,
No,
man.
but I saw this other. I was going to tell you about the meme. It was like the sequel to Up, and it just said down. And it's like, he just like goes like in the fucking earth. And they're like, oh shit, where'd he go? Like,
Shit post of the century.
oh, also, I showed my mom this epic meme from Orthodox Meme Squad. It's this one where like it shows like the Virgin and the Chad, and then the Virgin has like a onesie on, and he's saying, "I learned Japanese because I love anime and Japanese culture." Blah blah blah, and then it was like the Chad, such a waste of time, and then it just shows a picture of him, and it shows like the gospel in Greek, and it's like in the logos. Kain logos protote, and it's just like going. It's just saying the Gospel of John in Greek, and it's like the Orthodox priest with like the Giga Chad imposed like on the thing. And then my mom looks at that and she's like, "Wait, what?" And it's like I had to explain everything. And then she goes like, "Wait, so Chad's the good guy? I thought Chad was the bad guy."
Dude, I fucking hate show. I don't even show my parents shit anymore. I'm tired of having those conversations.
No, I think I mean I don't do it that much, but I just think it's funny.
If I have to if I have to answer, do I know this person one more time? I'm gonna fucking scream.
Yeah, wait, Chad's the not the bad guy? What?
Shut up, mom. It's a joke.
So, mom, you're being Kyle. You are literally feeding into the
Shut up, Karen.
exact. Wait, what's the opposite of Karen? Because like the opposite of Kyle is Chad, but then what's the opposite of Karen?
Fuck, there probably isn't one. I have no idea. There are no good women.
Fuck no, because they're all the same. And no, okay, I don't want to get canceled.
We-
I don't legitimately believe that. I'm just saying that for the memes.
I don't know. We already know your
But-
views on women and voting.
Well, no, but I reinforce that by saying that I don't think that people under the age of like I don't know, like let's say 30, I guess, shouldn't even vote. It doesn't matter what the fuck your gender is.
I don't think anybody should fucking vote.
That's why we go back to monarchy, where it was just delivered in a line of like a royal family, because you know.
It's like, if we're all gonna be stupid, we might as well not pretend we actually have a choice.
Exactly. I think George Carlin talked about that.
Yeah, you have no choice. You have no rights. It's an illusion.
Oh yeah, wasn't he like? He was like he was like America's one big fucking lie.
Yeah, yeah. He was no stranger to the fucking way our government runs, or just
Oh
our
no,
whole
yeah.
system in general.
There's a lot obviously that we disagree on, me and George Carlin, but like he can just hit it home so fucking well.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. That's right.
He kicks
Like
religion
stuff.
in the nuts pretty hard.
Yeah, that's where we disagree. But wait, is he like from New York or something like that?
Yeah, he's from New York.
Oh, okay, now I see why he hates religion. Because like I've kind of noticed this. I've kind of noticed how like people that are from like New York or Boston, that's where they're kind of weird. But like the priests like out here aren't, and they're kind of actually like what a priest is supposed to be.
Yeah, dude, it's like that one movie that was based on a true story about how like 60% of the priests in Boston were doing like fucking ungodly shit with children.
Oh no, yeah, that's like the epicenter of all fucked up shit done by the clergy.
Yeah, Boston.
But yeah, and like but I was reading this book about like the Eucharist, and it was talking about how like the role and like the occupation of a priest, which is the most like it's the most holy thing, like it's the only occupation that is not man-made. It is the only it's the only job that was instituted by Christ. And like it is the most like a priest is literally as the book said, he is the mysterious and mystical like representation of God. Like he's representing Jesus Christ, and like there's a certain like reverence that comes with that.
Right.
But over the years, obviously, like they've taken away certain things, and they've obviously like there's a lot of things in the old mass where like only the priest was allowed to do it, like handing out communion, and obviously, but now when you take that away and you let normal people give out communion, you lose that kind of like mysticism with the priest, and you kind of tend to, and like now you start to just view him as like a regular person, and that's why like you know we have that disconnect, obviously like with spirituality in a lot of like those kind of places like Boston and stuff like that, and religion there, because Joe Rogan talked about how he was like, yeah, go figure, you get to dress up as a wizard and talk about the word of God. It's like, you think these people aren't creepy? And it's like, yeah, but that's just because like they have slowly become like we've slowly become to like see these people not as like this, they are priests, this is like part of their nature, this is just who they are, as opposed to like, oh, this is just a regular person who's one of us who's just dressing up in a costume.
I forgot he did that bit.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, though,
Yeah, no,
right?
I do.
Because now, because like when we see priests, it's just kind of like, oh, they're just dressing up, as opposed to like back in the day, like there was restrictions about like um seeing priests and like what they were allowed to wear and who they were allowed to see and stuff like that. So like there was that reverence and like awe and mysticism that's just not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to end it, because if not, I'll talk for hours.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll add to that is, yeah, I mean, if it's a divergence from its original intent, it's, easy to see why it loses its impact. I just think you can look like into anything objectively and just either like keep with tradition or not keep with tradition, and then if you get the same message, then sure. But yeah, it definitely, I see how it loses a much of that impact if it is a complete divergence from it. But
Yeah, and that's why I'm like with like all the Vatican II and all this stuff, and like just like the new liturgy and the abandonment of the Latin Mass. I was like, who looked at the Latin Mass and was like, that's bad? Like, what were y'all thinking? Like, why do you think that all this like apostasy and all of this like clerical abuse scandals have come out of it? It's like, because if the liturgy sucks, then the priest is gonna suck. If like a priest is not reverent to God, he's not definitely not gonna be reverent to like lay people and children. It's terrible.
I don't
And
know.
that's like, I mean, no, I mean, I could say this for another episode, because there's a bunch of different restrictions and stuff like that, and just certain things have become more lax and stuff like that.
I just think it's
Now that
when
like,
you're in a
yeah,
position of power, it's just easy to abuse, especially like I said, politicians, actors.
but
It's
yes,
That's just really more
exactly,
what it
and
is.
no, and that is very true of priests as well,
Yeah.
because like a lot of priests that like they're supposed to deny communion to politicians that support, like to Catholic politicians that support things like abortion or a bunch of these other things that they're not supposed to, or LGBTQ, whatever it is, it's like contradicting the doctrine. They are not allowed to receive communion, but the priests are too worried about doing that because they don't want to have a bunch of people on their doorstep like banging on the door, and they don't want to have like, they don't want to lose their position. Obviously like the bishops, they don't want to lose their position as bishop, and it's terrible. And it's terrible that these people have like just like become the supposed to be role models of the church, and the like mystic representations of Jesus Christ. It's awful. It's so sad.
Do you think it's fixable, or
Oh,
it will be
definitely.
fixed?
Um, all I can do, all I can tell you is that the only thing I do is just pray and hope and just trust in Jesus Christ, because even if other people are doing shitty things, that doesn't mean that I can still look to the teachings of Jesus Christ and know how to better myself, which in turn betters other people. And yeah,
And I
it
think
is. I think it is most definitely fixable, but how we necessarily do that and how long it would take and like what we need to do it, that's, we could say that for another podcast, because that's a long story.
Yep, and I
So
think that
yeah.
perfectly summarizes the whole theme of the episode that we've been talking today. So that's a good closer.
Yeah, I think we've been doing some really good topics. This was a good episode.
Yeah, I like this one a
Mark
lot.
From Marc Anthony to metaphysics to I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Stay versatile, bitches.
Yeah, be able to listen to salsa music and then also be able to know the three types of being from metaphysics.
Pop quiz on Monday. See you next time.
See you next time, bitches.
Bye.
Bye.